Welcome back to the NAL, everyone. Okay, off to a great start. It is day 3, and we are going to be sending 2 teams to the Munich Major by the end of today. And that will be every single one of our NA teams qualified, whereas the other 2, unfortunately, will have an early end to their season. I'm your host, Jeannie, joined with Foxay and Lax. And we're going to be so serious and really smart today.
Yeah.
You really built that up to be so serious.
That was
You're like containing laughter. But I mean, it is a serious day. Like you said it.
Yeah.
We're sending 2 teams to Munich, and 2 teams are packing up their bags and are waiting a long offseason.
Yeah. One of DZ and M80 is not going to be at the major, which is crazy to say.
Right, absolutely. But I think we also need to rewind a little bit to yesterday, specifically on how we got here, because both OXG and M80 went from being placed into the S tier to finding themselves in that lower bracket.
And we start out with M80 versus SSG. SSG loses the first map, but then steams up. The train starts going. They're able to bring it back in the final 2 maps, and they looked so good off of the back of Ashen and the entries. They were absolutely, undeniably, they couldn't get stopped by M80. M80 didn't have a response for it, unfortunately.
And then we jump into the second game where, you predicted this. You thought Oxygen was going to be going to the lower bracket, and they sure did. That was the first time we saw Oxygen really look lost in that first match for Shopify Rebellion. Then we jump into Border, and then Shopify Rebellion, just same thing, just walking away with it. But it wasn't off the backing of the team. It really came off of Spoit having one hell of a performance, getting 4 4Ks in that matchup. Then we speed it into the SR versus SSG, where, again, you talk about that train finding its steam. It continued to go through, and they were steamrolling Shopify Rebellion.
The scary SSG when they have the momentum on their shoulders, and just after seeing how well Spoit and SR did against OXG, we would have thought that they would have replicated it, but SSG closing out the final map with a 7-0, sending Shopify Rebellion to have to go through the lower bracket and trying to redo what they did in stage 1, which is get first place in the playoffs.
Yeah, which is the complete opposite, because last playoffs in stage 1, they had to crawl all the way through that lower bracket. They have now directly punched their ticket to the grand final. But when we're looking today, it's going to be the lower bracket that we're covering. We're covering Wildcard OXG, we're covering DZ M80, which for these teams is incredibly crucial to win today, because you got SI points, you got Munich, and again, you just don't want to end your season already when SI is not until February 2026.
Yeah, and for Dark Zero, they've never missed a major event of this conception of the team. So for them to be in a position where they're at risk of it, they're going up against M80. M80's played so good during the regular stage. Obviously, they didn't look too hot yesterday, but they're going to be the second game of the day, and the first one with OXG and Wildcard, where again, Wildcard, big shoes to fill. They have not looked that hot coming into playoffs.
I mean, it's definitely big shoes to fill. They've maintained their consistency in terms of just not being able to look like the team that we saw back in Reload. And as for Oxygen, hopefully it's a brand new day for them in terms of how they looked in comparison to their matchup for Shopify Rebellion. So that first one definitely will deliver.
Yeah, and that's the first game that we're going to be looking at. It will be OXG Wildcard. And when we're looking at Wildcard specifically, they really squeezed past to be able to make it into the playoffs. Their regular stage wasn't looking that too hot. The first stage that we were talking about for Wildcard 2, after what we saw from Reload, which is what had given us so much hope, is just never ever came back.
Yeah, they've had so much potential. I mean, this roster since their conception and Reload got high hopes for everybody, but it's been slowly a downhill spiral. I think they're trying to find and figure out what their identity is. As for OXG, the identity's there. They've figured it out. It's all about just the consistency from them, and now they finally faced adversity with the loss yesterday, so hopefully they can bounce back.
Yeah, that's what you'd hope from OXG's side of things, but Wildcard has also had a little bit of a day off yesterday where they could watch OXG play, where they could maybe get some couple of scrims in it for themselves, because the end of the day, Lax, it is genuinely do or die.
It's do or die, backs against the wall here, and inconsistency has by far been the plague for Wildcard. Whether you're looking at stage 1 and now finding yourself here in stage 2 in the playoffs, similar situation. I mean, we continue to see so many faults with this team, which I don't know why they're happening. They have all of the keys to the puzzle, but the fact of the matter is they aren't finding success on their attacks, and that's one thing where I've talked about it time and time again, where I want to see Dash on those shield ops, and maybe more so specifically on Blackbeard, because what we're seeing him be able to do on Monty just simply isn't enough. Even same with the Blackbeard in their matchup versus SSG. He did get to play Monty, but again, he wasn't being able to find much success on that side. And when you think he comes from Brazil, the most notorious region for being able to take gunfights, and what does Blackbeard allow you to do? It allows you to take gunfights. So I want to be able to see him coming in today to be able to use that Blackbeard if it's on the board and actually make more headway than what he's currently been able to do on the side of Monty.
Yeah, I mean, today's the last day for Wildcard to kind of rekindle some form of hope that we have had for them for such a very long time. Because when we're looking at this roster, if there's one word that we can put synonymous with Wildcard, it is inconsistency.
It's definitely inconsistency, but if there's something that you can take away that they are doing good, it's their entry engagements. I mean, in that first matchup, you can clearly see that they are finding success, going 7 out of 10 of those opening engagements. Just unfortunate that they're converting only 3 of those into a round 1. Then you look at that Skyscraper, 6 out of 12 opening engagements still going in their favor, converting 5 into a round win. So for me, it's more so of a matter not only of Dash just being able to step up his performance on those shields and making more of a spearhead and being able to take those gunfights, but actually walking away here with these opening engagements and turning them more into convincing rounds 1, being able to keep that man advantage into the late round, because that is where they're struggling, and that is where we're seeing a lot of these upper echelon teams throughout the playoffs being struggling in those opening kill departments. So the fact that Wildcard is getting those engagements going in their favor, it's just a matter of reeling it back in, and also on Spiker to be making that call and understand that there is going to be an exposed spot, whether it's the defense, whether it's the attack, and take advantage of that. Because if you can't here, like I said, you're going to have a long offseason, and I'm sure roster changes are going to be made.
Yeah, of course. And it's also such a shame when you're a roster that is able to do the most difficult part, the hardest part, and then
absolutely.
you're just like,
You just let it go.
Yeah, it's just you drop the ball. So hopefully today is a bit of a different wild card, because it could be the last day that we see them, and they're going up against OXG, which this roster hasn't necessarily tasted any defeats beside that first best of 1 at the start of the stage. And then yesterday the tables have turned.
It'll all be about how they can bounce back, because the biggest issue and the one takeaway from OXG in the last couple of years is they've always been a very quiet team, momentum-based team. So when things don't go right, they get quiet in the comms. You can see it, the coordination is very lackluster, and that's what we saw against Shopify Rebellion. They essentially just got shut down, and that was the first time that we were going to see a Cafe without Forrest on the spearhead, and it didn't necessarily work out in their favor. The strength of OXG is their entry game, and that's exactly what Shopify Rebellion hit head on, is trying to shut down Adam, trying to shut down Gomez, so that OXG can't find comfortable positioning, can't get in the map, can't get where they want to be, and that's exactly where they fall flat. And once they didn't have that hot start, we see OXG slowly taper off in performance, and map 2 was already lost from the basis of map 1. And one thing that we always know is Grixer is going to be consistent even when the team's not, but the rest of the team, if they don't have that strong entry, that's where we see OXG fall.
Yeah, and something that was particularly painful for them yesterday was on Cafe when we were looking at those entries. They weren't able to get over that hurdle first, and that just kind of made everything fall apart.
Yeah, because that was the biggest downfall for OXG, is their entry game, and they picked attack first. Shopify Rebellion picked the map, which means OXG can pick the side, and the more favorable side is going to be defense. But they picked attack first because they wanted to start off hot, get some momentum under their belt with Adam and Gomez being able to be the main source of firepower, but that's not what we saw. That was the main focus, and Cafe is a very punishing map when it comes to those entries. So Shopify Rebellion, just like they broke apart Dark Zero in stage 1, they did a great job at breaking apart OXG and shutting down that entry game, and it left OXG in a position where the momentum was lost. It was a gamble to go attack first on Cafe that also didn't pay out, and that's why once that the vibes weren't there and the comms got quiet, Border was already lost at that point. I don't think it's that big of an issue or cause for concern. It just means that OXG took a risk and it didn't pay off.
Yeah, but also like OXG being such a heavy momentum and vibe team does maybe ring a couple of alarm bells in terms of how it's going to do today. But again, a learning opportunity and a lesson in terms of the best of 3 that we're going to see today against Wildcard. Because when we're looking towards Wildcard, their map pool is not necessarily something that you can't really exposed.
No, it hasn't been great. And I said, you know, whether you're hiding stuff for playoffs, sure, but what we're seeing already in playoffs is they aren't looking good. You see the Skyscraper from stage 1, they just played it yesterday. 2 days ago, they lost that. Then you look at their clubhouse, they were 1-1, they lost it yesterday as well. So, there's not really a lot of tangibility in terms of what they're able to play. Labs is their best looking, in my opinion, than versus what we might see in Chalet. But if you're Oxygen, this is a perfect time to jump on top of this wildcard team that is still struggling with their inconsistencies. And then when we talk about those opening engagements, if they're really paying attention to this matchup, get that opening engagement going in your favor, because even if they are getting that open engagement, I think it's a matter of fact, keep the pressure going, because they can't seem to make these rounds go in their favor. So this is a very, very good matchup for Oxygen to take full advantage of, learn what they did wrong yesterday, implement it here, and then again, as for wildcard, everything that I said they need to do, maybe switch up the roles with Dash, maybe play a little better, play a little safer, Maybe just stack on top of one another, keep that man advantage. But again, Oxygen definitely has the advantage going into this.
I think that's one of the biggest downsides to Wildcard is their entry game, and that's why they prefer maps like Labs, Chalet, Clubhouse, maps that you don't necessarily need that much of an entry into it, and that's something I hope we get to see them change, is having Dash be able to assist on the entry with the Blackbeard, because on a Monty, you can't really do that. You can give information,
space,
but you can't do much with it, especially if there's somebody in front of you, and Wildcard, regardless of who's playing Shield or what roles they're playing, the entry game of having Bay be the solo entry, we don't see that so consistently, and there's nobody really following Bay up in those situations. So if we can see Dash be the Blackbeard, him duo up with Bay, be able to get that position but act on it, get the picks behind it, Wildcard could be in a good place. But I think that's why their map pool is so limited. They have to go to maps where you don't necessarily need an entry a majority of the time.
Yeah, speaking of their limited map pool being probably a downside for their best of 3 today, let's have a look at the map, Fido, when it comes to where we'll be heading in this series, starting off with Club.
I mean, this makes perfect sense for Oxygen to try to take advantage of this. I mean, what we saw yesterday in their match versus SSG for the wild card game was the simple fact that SSG was reading into those setups. They were understanding, okay, if you want to go for a roam, we'll either pick you apart or we're going to actively just aggressively go for that site hit and then force you to collapse and fall back into our line of sight. And they were just getting picked off left and right. And now you're going against an Oxygen team where if you do want to roam, you really have to be paying attention to those cutoffs, because that is something I will say Oxygen does extremely well with Yaga, is being able to be on those flanks with Grixer as well and have those cutoffs when the other two are setting up and pushing to clear.
Yeah, I think this is a good situation. You're going to ban Sky and Chalet first if you're OXG. It's a situation where Wildcard's always going to get one of their better maps. So Club to Labs, exactly what you want to see. It's great maps for both teams, great maps for Wildcard, 2 of their best maps. As for OXG, though, they're not weak in the areas where Wildcard has been able to expose some teams when it comes to the individual spread out way that they play. OXG is very direct, focused, all team oriented, taking Rafters on Labs, taking storage on Labs, being able to attack things as a team. And the map pool, OXG is playing for the long game, because Bank is one of those maps where Wildcard has their ups and downs on it. OXG is playing for that third map to be able to go to Bank, and if they don't win the first 2, it's not necessarily a risk, because Bank is definitely more OXG favorite in my opinion, especially with having Adam and Gomez on that entry, not necessarily needing to rely on the shields, where Wildcard needs something extra on their pushes. So I'd imagine on a map like Bank, you're forcing Dash to play that Blackbeard, you're forcing him to play that Monty, limiting their entry ability for Wildcard.
Yeah, then for me as well, I would like to head a little bit more into the prediction side of things, because of course, like coming into this, OXG is, I would say, the favorite considering how their regular stage has gone and how well they've performed, but also the fact that OXG is such a momentum heavy team, and yesterday it felt like they were a little bit more quiet, is like a quick turnaround, like what, not even 24 hours, enough for them to really lock in.
You'd like to hope that OXG, with how much progress they've made throughout this stage, they're not going to let other years of losses and them getting quiet hold them down with how strong they were during the regular stage. So I'm hoping for that, especially against a weak wild card. They should be able to bounce back and shake off the fact that they took a risk against SR. It's not like they lost necessarily. They lost fair and square, but they took a risk. It didn't pay off. They play a lot more normal and go in the map bans, which they have. They should be able to win.
What I want to see coming out of Oxygen, where I will feel confident throughout the rest of the matchups, is seeing how they are on their attack. Because what we saw yesterday, especially on Cafe, is they were struggling to adapt. You talk about the comms, they weren't there. Clubhouse is very default, it's very simple. So if they're already struggling at the forefront of this and can't seem to adapt, not bringing a different operator, not having a different approach, not taking advantage if the site isn't being held, that is where I am then going to see the exact same Oxygen, the exact same struggles. But I will give them the benefit of the doubt that it is a brand new day and that they are going to take from what happened yesterday and fix it coming into this matchup.
Okay, well, enough OXG. I think Wildcard is also a discussion that we need to have. We've already touched upon the fact that their map pool is very limited and that maybe some of the playstyles, especially with, you know, when we have Dash in there, is not going the way that we want it to go. But what do they have when it comes to an upper leg on OXG?
Honestly, not a whole lot, because they've been consistent in terms of their issues, where Oxygen, at least from one stage to the next, has performed tremendously well, where again, Wildcard is struggling, but I think the key points is the things that I said, but being able to start on defense here, already you're going to be feeling good. You already know what to expect. You already can learn from what happened against the SSG game, not leaving yourself exposed to go for an open site rush because everyone is offside flank, and then also just being able to stack on top of one another, not losing that opening engagement. Like I said, they can keep these opening engagements going in their favor, play that man advantage. That is going to be the biggest takeaway when coming into Clubhouse, is not having those little small errors continue to plague their performance and Achilles heels them as they continue throughout their match.
Wildcard's strength when they play against very hyper-aggressive teams is wherever that entry from the other team is coming in from, they're able to set up crossfires. They respond to it very quickly. So if Wildcard can do that against Adam and Gomez, wherever they're coming in, let's isolate this entry, get the picks, because we know the rest of OXG is not going to be as responsive there in time. So that should be Wildcard's main goal, is shutting down Adam, because that's what Shopify Rebellion did yesterday, and that's exactly why Shopify Rebellion made OXG look so lackluster. So Wildcard has any game plan, it's definitely to shut down the entry game from OXG.
Yeah, from our side of things, we're going to be heading over to a quick little break, and then we're going to be going into our first map of this series. A reminder for you guys at home, winner goes to Munich, loser ends their season here pretty early. Is it going to be Wildcard OXG? We'll find out after the break with Ollie and Lynx.
Well, welcome back, everybody. Thank you for taking a little bit of a pause for us before we got into the game. But Ollie, I think we all need a little bit of a breather before two high-stakes matches at the start of today. By the end of both this best of three and the next one, we will have two teams eliminated from Munich Major contention. And in this particular one in front of us, it's going to be one of two teams who started out the year, I think none of us really thinking they'd be all that different from the years past, of Wildcard and OXG disappointing, and yet both have entered into our curiosity. They have enticed us, and yet only one of them could go to Munich.
That's it. I'm not sure if we need a breather though, Lynx, because we didn't really do too much yapping last night.
No, that's true. We didn't. It was a clean little 17 rounds.
I think regardless of what happens tonight, just the fact that we've got two best of threes, we are going to have to do more. But that is exactly what we're here for. And we've got OXG and Wildcard facing off against one another right now. And as you said, a very important best of three. Obviously, regional finals is important and it holds its own weight, but everybody has their eyes on what is coming up next, and that is, of course, the Munich Major. Failure to qualify for that major results in quite a lengthy off-season, with, of course, SI being scheduled for February.
10 seconds remaining.
It's nice to have Christmas off, but I don't know that you need from, like, what, October to February until you're playing some professional Siege. So these teams want to keep current, they want to keep in that mix. And that's exactly what we're going to be fighting for here and now today. Starting off here on Clubhouse, not a map that we've really seen either of these two teams gravitate towards during the regular stage here in Stage 2. We have, of course, witnessed OXG play it only a couple of days ago. Apologies, Wildcard play it only a couple of days ago. But aside from that, we haven't seen OXG play at this stage. So, I mean, it's Clubhouse. It's not like we've hidden anything for this particular occasion. It's a map that everyone's comfortable with. It's the first map that any team will learn when they join into competitive, whether they're getting a new player in, they'll run through the ropes of how they like to play club, because it is just one that you've got to have in your back pocket.
And I think part of that's obvious by the fact that you look at most attacking bans or defensive bans and that they ban attackers, but you had a double hard breach usually, right? You know, a lot of exterior walls play a focus. There's literally one of them right there that you see used to not only open up that angle, but also get a bit of an angle onto the logistics wall if it's not already opened up. Very quick kill acquired by Bay, roaming very far over on the red stairs side. And yep, that's often the risk you have in a position like that. Push up too far, and if you're not watching the staircase, somebody can come up and pinch you from below. Huge amount of engagements traded on this side of the map, and unfortunately, it's a Wildcard. Well, I suppose unfortunately it's OXG that come out worse for wear. But if you're a fan of OXG, it's unfortunate that Wildcard come out in the 2 versus 1. Diffuser up on the roof, so Gomez can go back up. Despite on low HP, can retrieve it and at least revive this win condition as some kind of possibility. Minute 15 left and 3 Bs. He's got a decent bit of utility, Ollie, but I just think in the 2v1 with 2 toxic canisters remaining, he'll have his work cut out for him.
I'm not sure if he spotted that Valkyrie camera either at the top of Cash Stairs. It was kind of an awkward position in his drone. There's at least one on ping there for him, so they're aware of the presence of the Valkyrie. We'll certainly find out now. Should have been spotted crossing there. You see Baby Shark is on the CCTV room camera, so Wildcard have got full information, and Dash is priming and readying those Toxic Babe canisters, ready to start cutting off these avenues. Dash playing really close there with the shotgun, but a nice little double swing. Ooh, almost a lineup there as Gomez takes Dash down. Puts a bit of pressure here on Spiker, especially with 30 seconds left.
For 30 seconds, he can cut off some angles with the bees as well. Oh, well, that was a bit of an anticlimactic ending. Spiker just throwing one impact grenade, deals with the rest of it. And that is round one done and dusted. Wildcard with the first, and they'll come on the defense.
I was hoping for a little bit more out of that, honestly. As soon as he gets the one kill onto Dash, I'm thinking, there's a good chance here. You look down, you see what sort of kit Valkyrie's got, and you think, oh, impacts. Yeah, there's denying the plant's going to be quite tricky. Nope, we're just going to throw a single impact. Unfortunately, Gomez was quite low. That was the almost lineup there. But the information game, too good for Wildcard. Spiker having the confidence there to rotate down below. And, I mean, he's made a very good guess there, to be honest, because if Gomez goes on the bed to try and get that plant down, that impact's pretty useless. We get thrown into a very different round indeed. A lot of kills coming in the early half of that round, though. As Wildcard were very happy to contend out there on the roam, as you typically do for a gym and bedroom. A side that you can either choose to roam or not is, of course, going to be Church and Arsenal. But with this lineup, it looks a bit undecided, Links. Like, are we committing to the roam game, or are we going to start playing on site? We've got the Clash, which is, I mean, you could do either, I guess. But you've got the Skopos thrown into the mix, which there's nobody speaks to the roam more than Skopos, and Bay is going to be upstairs here in Garage Rafters.
There's always the worry you kind of have to have sometimes. Are we going to be a little too half and half with it? Are we going to overextend? It was kind of a... I could argue that's exactly what happened with Bay in that previous round, pushing very deep up to red stairs with not a lot of support behind him, leaves a gap on red, gets cut off in the process. And here, at least he's got a bit of a get-out-of-jail-free card, right? Not only has the ability to teleport back down below just by switching the positions of which, I suppose, robot he's on at the moment, but he's also got Dash moving around inside a lounge, not only giving information on anybody who could be pushing through the door, but also we'll just cut off that lounge position entirely, allow Dash to kind of hold that for the time being, make sure nobody can pinch Bay from that angle as well. At the moment, it is causing OXG some issues. It's also one of those positions where even though Bay's overextended, if you kind of do the same thing on the attack and you only send one person after him, you don't want to spend too much time on a mission that doesn't really end up bearing any fruit. Yaga inserted on the opposite side, moving in through Jacuzzi, trying to find an alternative way to break through this cash defense, or this cash roam, excuse me.
Everything that's happening here is fantastic for the clock as well for Wildcard. Oh, Baby Shark's really committed to this as well. Dash, he's able to facilitate the escape. That's going to allow both players to get themselves back down to site entirely unharmed. A massive missed opportunity there from OXG. If there's a roam that's that heavy, you've got to be ready to cut it off when it starts to retreat back to site, because it has to retreat at some point. If you don't push it hard enough and you don't get in a gunfight, you've got to expect them to start to move down. Yaga himself can start to move and give a bit of presence down on these blue stairs. And yeah, there's 10 people alive. There is only a minute left. And with the bans that we've got, being the Hibana and the Ace, it's not going to be too easy to get these hard breaches open, especially given that both hard breach secondaries have already been spent. And it doesn't look as though Kitchen Hatch is open. This could be a very flat attack as we get to crunch time here at around 40 seconds. I do fear for Yaga having to go up against Baby Shark here. Baby Shark's got himself a really nice deployable shield. Gomez could be a bit of a difference maker and does have a nade, but they're going to have to make something happen and happen quick.
It seems a blue push with this much investment by the defense is going to be difficult, so Forrest walking through the smoke, just kunai'd in the process by Kansan. Advantage for Wildcard even more so now that some of these kills have been confirmed. Grixer down after his double. Wildcard with 2 in a row as OXG taking a lot of time and accomplishing very little with it. They are playing Wildcard's game, and that's only going to be a losing endeavor.
Wildcard are doing a great job here of just setting up these mini games for OXG to waste time on. And OXG are kind of just blindly accepting that challenge and like, yeah, we'll spend a bit of time on the top floor. Why not? It's fine if you go to clear the roam, as long as you get something for it. But there wasn't anything that you'd gotten for it, apart from the pre-placed utility. So, what, a couple of mute jammers? Not a big deal in the grand scheme of things. But what that roam did do was whittle down OXG's resources and force them into a really less than ideal push. I mean, if you're only bringing 2 tin openers for a Church and Arsenal attack, I'm not too sure where they're getting used anyway, because typically you're going to need a little bit more than that. Even if you just want kitchen dirt, it's not a guarantee that you're going to get kitchen hatch open with just 1 tin opener. There could be an impact trick, anything could happen. OXG, I won't be surprised to see an early time, and not an early, it's going to be a very typical timeout if it comes at the end of round 3, start of round 4. But I certainly won't be surprised to see it. Clubhouse, not a map where attackers have a tough time of things. There are plenty of opportunities, especially with the tools that are available. Maybe a switch up into CCTV room and cash is going to be the recipe for OXG to try and get something going here. Already, the lineup, I'll be honest, it looks a lot better.
Yeah, a lot of very clear applicability to these attacking operators. Maverick for the wall. This is going to be good just because any hard breach NAL that is brought, you can just cut right through that, no problem. You do have some hard breach charges as well to maybe get an angle on one of the garage doors up in the rafters. But the bigger thing for me is the primary utility besides the hard breach. The Mavic's obviously great, but you've got Rotero drones to deal with the Kibas, you've got the bolts to clear out rafters, you've got the bees to aid for either that or the execute, and the Rotero drones as well, good for the barbed wires that could get placed on red stairs or garage by Baby Shark. So really like what I'm seeing from OXG, this operator lineup. I think, the Lion can obviously, sometimes he's good, sometimes he's not, but I'm not going to complain about bringing out with 2 nades as well. EE1D has its uses, so I'm a big fan of it for OXG. On the flip side, Wildcard also giving themselves a lot of options. I was about to say ADSs and Kibas likely for rafters. Dash playing in this spot. No, you and I casted a game one time where it was the Azami playing over here. I actually think it was Kansan playing over here as the Azami. We were both kind of like, okay, but you could play rafters.
I remember that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember it was like, you could do that, or you could do rafters, which is what 99.9% of other people would have done in that situation.
Right now.
Yeah. Well, Dash might have a little chance here. His window of opportunity is going to be extremely small. I don't think it's going to slow down at the initial push as the first couple of kills do start to come in. Yogurt and Spiker both fall in there. That could be the recipe for garage control. A drone from Forest will confirm it. Someone needs to move through and take that space. This is where a Monty can be really nice just to fearlessly march up those stairs. But it's instead going to fall onto Forest's shoulders. This is very likely that someone could choose to retake that position. Just because you've taken the Azami out of there doesn't mean that anyone isn't going to hop on in. But there's quite a lot of hesitation right now from OXG.
I feel like it's been the defining feature of OXG so far today has been hesitation, especially in round 3. Even with getting the Azami, what was that, like, it was like almost a minute ago at this point? It's certainly been a little bit, and yet we're only just now moving into rafters, and this is brutal. Wildcard making the decision to fully reinforce the wall, and with Yaga going down, and I don't know if he used all of his hard breach, this is a much more protracted way to find a way into CCTV and cash. 20 seconds remaining. Everybody inside of the site. We got Bay with the C4 prep. We got Baby Shark. He just threw his first toxic canister. It's only 17 seconds when he throws it. Taking a fight onto the player in rafters. OXG struggling to find a way in. As Adam walks through, he's still in the smoke. Gonna go down to the toxic gas. I think that's him resigning his fate at that point. There's nothing you can do. No time to even reattempt that plant. Wildcard achieve a flawless site rotation, and that timeout is coming in hot.
Who is this OXG? Like, we're not used to this team being this slow. I never thought that I would say this, Lynx, but I am desperate to see Forest just play blitz and just run in. Like, where's that OXG right now when they need it most? Because we're not even seeing like the full ideas in these rounds because of how quickly they're going, how slowly they're going by. Really unsure about that Rotero drone as well. I felt like it just gave such a great angle for Defender to get a really narrow pixel onto the top of rafters as well, after that Maverick had ripped open a little bit of the wall. As predicted, OXG with the timeout. And I can only think that time must be the main topic of conversation right now because these rounds are slow. by any standard, let alone a team like OXG who, let's be honest, we expect them to play some pretty exciting Siege.
Yeah, I mean, even if they aren't, even if Forrest isn't exactly on the shield as often or as, I would say, quickly as he used to be, it's still a team that when those entries are firing, when Adam and Gomez are getting those opening picks, it really does feel like, or Adam, Yaga, whoever, whenever they're getting those opening picks, it really feels like they know exactly how to capitalize off of it. Once they get that 5v4, it's like a switch clicks in their brain and they just like, oh, we can win this. Like, we're not guaranteed to, but we know we have a clear way forward. And it just feels like right now with that opportunity lacking, whether it's even traded or even whether there's no kill presenting itself, when it's just sort of this passive defense or a defense that is basically fighting a war of attrition and always bleeding them the moment Wildcard takes a shot in turn. OXG don't have that clear way in, and Wildcard are doing a very good job at denying it to them. Then again, I think it's also kind of a little bit of Wildcard denying it, and OXG, I think, struggling to put the pieces together, struggling to get the comms flowing. As the desk was mentioned, we saw them struggle with in that game against SR yesterday. With Wildcard picking up 3 in a row, now's a good time. We're going back to Gym Bedroom. They're going to go back to Gym Bedroom once it opens up. It's a good time to kind of try things out. You've already got a taste of what Wildcard will do. Now you just have to look at it this time and see what the differences are.
Gym and Bedroom, not one of the easier sites on Clubhouse. For the defenders, at least. 61.9% win rate for the attack. So this is where attacking teams in NAL in Stage 2 have got the majority of rounds here on Club. Anything around 47 to sort of 53, you kind of can class that as pretty even 50-50s. But when you start getting into the 60s, that's maybe when you can start to call something attacker-sided. And I think that's just because there's some very well-established ways of taking control of Gym and Bedroom. Getting yourself in through cash and CCTV side is a fantastic way of doing it. And it often involves a little bit of pressure coming from the other side. We can see Jacuzzi Wall there already getting opened. So decent progress inside of the first minute. There's still quite a lot to chew through. So OXG have got quite an egregious lineup. Deployable shields, slowing operators in the smoke. But an opening pick this time for OXG. Nade to maybe clear the shield, gets lucky on the peak, but that's enough to force the player off. Atom coming up from the stairs below as well. A beautiful pinch there, and OXG making short work of the roam this time.
Exact kind of thing we want to see in a moment like that, especially as, while they got Bay last time, Wildcard were able to bleed off a lot of picks in turn. So 5v3, this is the exact situation we want to see OXG sort of reclaim that former glory. Still half the round gone. Still some work to do, to be sure, but Olive even got drones down below. Tracking Spiker, moving with this diffuser. They know this con C4 is incoming. Adam can go hunting too, in the perfect position to cut him off. Ooh, bit tricky. In the process, Adam will try to retake that engagement. He at least staves off that C4 and kind of puts some fear into Spiker. It's that kill that's going to do it, though, because once they realize it's a 5v2 on site, OXG make the right call, push directly in, and they know Spiker's C4 is wasted. Yaga can start putting this diffuser down if he wants, so long as OXG keep a lid on the rest of these angles. Adam again losing his chance at finding this Valkyrie. In the process, he's been softened up quite extensively, but that final Deathmark tracker coming in exactly when you need it will give OXG perfect information as to where the Valkyrie is. And a 3-way crossfire is the only thing staring Spiker down at the moment. A chance at winning this one has just slipped away with that bit of information, and perhaps he can find an angle onto this Deimos, but they'll keep pulling back, wasting time, denying him any chance at winning this one. Potential for a nice shot there, by the way, on Condor, but again, OXGR, until then, making the right play, and then hitting him with the 3-way to end things. A great start and a great finish for OXG's first.
I don't think OXG could have played that round much better. Everything that we've asked of them so far, speed things up, bit more coordination. They brought a better set of operators as well, in my opinion. They had the thermite. They were able to get that Jacuzzi Wall open nice and early. There was a brilliant push. We could see the ideas that we got in round one with how they wanted Atom to push up those cash stairs at the same time as people coming in through cash breach. it was just a much better round, all things considered. Some brilliant information as well. I love that recognizing, okay, Valkyrie was played previously. We know that there's likely going to be a Val. We haven't removed it. We removed the Bandit instead. So let's be honest, we need to have a drone underneath because there's a Valkyrie C4 waiting to happen here at some point. If they're running that much info, someone's going to be about with the C4. Brilliant drone that Gomez was on. And, you know, Atom, he might not have got the kill straight away, but they knew exactly where the last player was, and the people pushing the site had done the hard work already. And Atom, of course, did get his kill in the end. Oh, it's due with the round, and it gets them going here tonight. I think they'll be breathing a little bit of a sigh of relief that they're now on the board, and they can start to try and build off that.
Attackers must locate and defuse a bomb.
Just have to hope they get more of it. Kind of the only thing you got to do at this point. A 5v3 is nice. Is it necessary? No, not by any stretch of the imagination. But we'll take it. We absolutely will take it. Forrest hopping back on that shield. Monty might just be what they need to speed things up a little bit. Oftentimes what we'll see teams do is bring that Monty just to say, okay, we're gonna brute force the full clear. We're gonna walk through full shield. That way, if we do run into anybody, that way if the drones do fail a little bit, hey, we've got that protection directly in front of us. This is a bit of an odd setup. Baby Shark trying to get an angle, I guess, in construction with the hatch open up right next to him in gym, so we can fall back. Can't say I've seen that one before, but see how it works out. Oh, she's certainly buying into it as 3 to 4 players all on or around the roof at the moment, so that they are very much contemplating a full clear. And Dokbi call going out. Baby Shark got to be careful, trapped in that corner. Because they could walk in front of that Kivo, but a bit of a nice use of the boogie drone. He'll make it out. They certainly doesn't. OXG getting another key man advantage, and given how successful they were with it in round 4, might just be the only win condition they need.
Baby Shark's still a bit loose right now. He actually hasn't gone back downstairs just yet. Could be a little bit of a problem for later. OXG not making bad pace. And again, they have better tools for the jobs at hand this time as well. Baby Shark's still harassing there down inside a bar. He's actually using his Kivas on those vertical angles. Forrest is now going to go down and try and push him back to site or pin him down somewhere. With these hatches already open, it's a little bit of a guessing game as to where he could be right now. And look at this from Dash. Oh, hello! That's a horrible engagement for everybody involved. You could have been forgiven for thinking those 2 players were on the same team with the slowness of the reaction there, but somehow Dash gets away with it.
And they'll be happy to trade that one back. Even if a Dokbi call already used, just keep OXG on the back foot, or even more importantly, not even on the back foot, just keep them not with 1 foot forward. Keep them always having to fight, apply that pressure, because if OXG don't have that opening, if they don't have that immediate way in, the problem solving gets really, really difficult. Ooh, okay, I think we're maybe overcooking a little bit with that dirt tunnel run out, but whoever that was does not get punished. That's likely to the benefit of Wildcard, because they can just hold on, keep the site structure intact, and also keep Spiker's utility present, keep Cans and C4 at play. This is really going to trip things up. Dash, again, we just don't need to be making plays like that. But he'll find the head on the Yaga, push up the metal stairs as well. It's somewhat of a good timing, but Grixer shuts it down. Instead, a lot of the attention focused on the site. It's unfortunately a bit directed by OXG as Wildcard keep things in the 2v1. Baby Shark with a deal double kill to finish things off and stop the bleeding after round 4.
The player that was upstairs inside of Jim at the start of the round with the hatch open underneath of him gets the double eagle kill to finish. Like, how has he gone back into that exact position? Dash was just desperate for some sort of aggression in that round as well. That was twice we saw him walking up staircases. The first time he was rewarded, the second time he was punished. It doesn't matter when Wildcard are walking away with the round regardless. Big kill from Dash onto Yaga. Baby Shark just slippy underneath that hatch. I think he was able to get 3 in that sort of final spree that we saw. Wildcard maintaining and increasing that lead again. 4-1 right now. Potential for a 5-1 split here, to be honest with you, especially with the way that we saw this site go last time, Lynx. It was incredibly slow from OXG, despite them doing the hardest job of attacking this site, which is usually removing the Rafters player.
Camera feed up and running.
And part of that, to be fair, was Wildcard setup. I mean, it's not common to double reinforce that wall, and normally what we see is, you know, the left panel's reinforced, right panel has some head holes. You just put a Rotero drone on it, open it up, and bam, you're done. Like, that's your way in as the attack. But by double reinforcing that wall, it was already a slow attack. To be fair, they got the kill on the Spiker with like 1:30 seconds left, and they're not up at the top of Raptors breaching that wall until 40 seconds remaining. But that reinforcement was insult to injury, because then they're pushing into the site with 15 seconds left, and Baby Shark was clearly ready for it. He had 3 toxic canisters with 20 seconds remaining. They knew that this was going to be a late execute round, or whether that was pre-planned or whether it was in the moment. It was a brilliant call, because it just completely suffocated any momentum by OXG, and there was already very little to begin with. In this round, we do still have that same Raptors presence. In fact, I still think, broadly speaking, the same operator lineup across the board. Except the only difference, I don't think Dash is playing inside a gym bedroom this time, because I think I see all orange outlines.
That's
on this
strange.
map. I mean, I'm going to be honest.
Not playing in gym bedroom.
It's not, it wasn't really added much before. I mean, I don't hate it, but like, it just not really doing a whole lot.
I think they have actually left half of that wall soft as well this time into Rafters, so shouldn't be the same sort of problems that OXG face if they do get to the top of that. Might not get to it though. Dash, opening pick onto Yoga. Nobody know about Dash's position, just tucked in next to the window. It can be a really dirty angle, especially with the narrow gap you get through the railing. With that main breach open, these Rafter players should be feeling the heat and the pressure, and that's going to be enough to force him, but he doesn't actually jump over in time and instead will be downed.
Ooh, nice swing by Bay to bring that one back. Dash, he's not recoverable, but depending on where these OXG players are positioned, he very well could be. I mean, we obviously know where they are, but Forrest and Grixer, everyone is upstairs. No, yeah, I was about to say, if they know that Dash is fully recoverable, and that's a 4v3 reestablished. OXG, I think, trying to pick up off that, or at least trying to build off that game early on. It's a rotation to construction, and bringing the Thermite, instead of pushing Raptors, they have fully decided to go for a construction push. But the problem is, now they're in that advantage. Oh my god, Forrest just sprints on in. Baby Shark spots it in the process, though. Grixer, I think, unfortunately, be a little bit lost on the timing, or not finding the right engagement. I don't know what the hell Baby Shark thinks he's peeking, unfortunately, but does swing around, find Grixer, so there we go. He's going for a bit of a tighter angle than I expected. I get the idea from Forrest, but it seems, again, the communication with OXG a little lacking, because Baby Shark finds that tiny gap, drops the fuser inside of the site, and that basically ends the round, not just for Gomez, but Grixer before him, even when he was still alive. Spots the head of one. No trade attempted on the other. Huge flick by Gomez, and he spotted the other one in the process. Knows he's somewhere around the right side of red. Could have rotated into CCTV, and as we know, that instinct is correct. On the other side of the reinforcement, oh no! Pre-fire just a little too high. Dash keeps it cool, and boy, are you glad that you went for that res.
Gomez has got to be kicking himself for that one. He was so close. The pre-fire, as you say, a couple of pixels too high. And a round that shouldn't have been close at all got pretty damn close. Still, something that isn't close, this scoreline. And that's really the only sign of life that we've seen from OXG, aside from the round that they were successful in. It's not like any other of these rounds have been coming down to the wire or super close. We got the gym bedroom round, but I guess, you know, with the Valkyrie and the positioning and the information, it wasn't a close affair. It wasn't like coming down to a 1v1 gunfight like that. Wildcard with a very commanding lead right now. They move on to their own attacking side. You do worry a little bit for OXG in this fixture. We often build Clubhouse as a map that every team is capable of, and well, a 5-1 wouldn't really indicate that they are very comfortable on here at the moment.
And for a team that, I mean, they had some moments against SSG, but SSG just completely outclassed Wildcard on this map. And I think, to be fair, a big part of that is SSG are just looking really good right now. I mean, they made SR look silly last night, especially on Cafe. So I think a lot needs to be said that SSG are just looking like that team right now. But this wasn't a map that Wildcard had any easy goings on whatsoever against Space Station. They did have some problems in now a 5-1 defensive half. Their attacks have always been a little worrying, especially with the calling, especially with how they move around Dash on this shield when he plays it. So there are definitely still some worries I have for Wildcard going into this, but 5-1 is just a difficult thing to throw away.
especially for OXG's map pick. Alarm bells do start to ring, and they're going to have to be pretty good on these defenses. Wildcard themselves haven't been the best team on attack, but you do get the feeling that they could be good for 2. I like the lineup that they're bringing. A little bit exciting there with the blitzing. Atom on a much looser roam than what we saw from Wildcard. They were very well committed to that roam, and they had multiple fail-safes in terms of enabling players to get back to site, whether that was Dash playing on a clash, or there was people that were happy to really stick around out there like Baby Shark and use his utility in the Azami to really extend his stay up there. It's far looser here from OXG. Wildcard already starting to take advantage of that. They've got the track on the Goyo, and Dash is moving through this top floor. He's going to be able to very quickly flush these defenders down, and as we can glean from the overlay, it looks as though everyone's already made their way back down to site. Whereas this was a task that sort of OXG were getting done in the first half of the round. Wildcard almost have achieved the same in and around the first minute.
It's the kind of thing you want to see. Sure, they're being thorough. Sure, maybe they're doing a little more than you need, but if they're going to do that very quickly, nobody's going to complain. Peace of mind is not something you can put a price on. Especially when we, the audience, know there's a vigil on the board, so definitely the kind of operator that always hints that, hey, maybe you should be a little more careful than you otherwise would be. This old drone for Wildcard as well. Only issue now, we're starting to get 2 minutes 15 seconds left, and we've really not seen much action around the kitchen side. Only 2 hard breach canisters, and of course, you have the Selmas, but you got to dedicate a couple of those to open up a hatch. You might want to save them for flat wall later. Wildcard are kind of reaching that tipping point, Ollie, that OXG did, where if you don't start moving, time's going to slip a lot quicker than you think.
Time has a habit of doing that inside a siege. Wildcard, while it might look decent at the time being, it's still a 5 versus 5, and they've still got quite a lot of work to do here. Vertical angle is still only just being made. It does leave defenders with a lot of opportunity, and you're not really going to be able to watch everything anymore. The advantage of making these early is you give yourself options for later. Now the best you can hope for is just to open them and find someone underneath on a cam or something like that. That isn't going to happen right now. Those Vulcan packs, they'll be a factor as well with only 20 seconds. Spiker, not really going to have too many options but to try and drop this hatch, but Dash is the player we need to keep our eyes on right now.
Gotta see where he's going. Ooh, both Bs. I think 2 different canisters, by the way, getting trapped on that kitchen hatch, failing to go deep. It's not tripping up Wildcard whatsoever. Still get the diffuser down, even if Dash put to 1 HP, put down, yet not finished off. They've got a 3v3 for the post, and that might just be enough. Baby Shark not able to see one of those defenders through the haze. Makes a full reposition. Bit of a risky move across the long haul, but he's not punished for it. That's enough right now. If you're going to take a chance, it's better to get lucky in this moment. As Grixer decides to take his chance in the engagement, Baby Shark doesn't want any of this smoke, so Yaga moves in to put the diffuser down. There's the great angle. Open up mid-round by Kansan. Spiker 2 getting on the action. It's all 3 remaining Wildcard players have a hand in that post. 6-1 right now, and OXG shots at a clubhouse victory, getting grimmer by the second.
Wildcard doing a really good job there of the execute. They'd left the time quite late, and I was maybe a little bit hesitant of that. Looking at the stack of utility that OXG had, the fact that there was 10 players alive in the server, but they were able to get it done. Dash died to the barbed wire as well, by the way. He must have just got out of the plant, got into a really sticky position, and just had no choice but to try and push through it. I thought at that point it could have spelled disaster, but it wasn't. His team were there to hold it. If you've got that vert, it's very difficult to do anything about it as a defender. You've got to commit to a full retake, essentially. And OXG not in any position to do that whatsoever. Wildcard, map point already right now. We've had a habit of attracting these quicker games inside of Stage 2 links. I hope that that isn't a sort of sign of things to come for how this night's going to be, because we're sending a team to the major after this series.
Yeah, I think that's the big thing. It's also this very strange, well, and this will get to your point, but it's this very strange role reversal from Stage 1 where it was Wildcard who had this, like, really good showing in the playoffs. I mean, they 2-0'd SSG, completely a mirror image of what happened this stage. 2-0 SSG, lose to Dark Zero, and then against OXG in the lower bracket, you and I casted this game. It was a 7-3, 7-2 for OXG, and Wildcard didn't look like they had any kind of chance whatsoever. And we were both just kind of like, oh, that's it? that's all we get from a team with this kind of promise. And it'd be very exciting for Wildcard to achieve something similar. And hey, even if, you know, they haven't won the series, but map 1, 7-1 potentially, that's a crazy statement to make. Yet, it might be OXG in Wildcard's shoes from last stage, a team that gave us so much promise, that was in the number 2 seeds going into the stage, bombing out, potentially losing 3 maps in a row inside of playoffs. Doesn't get much worse than that.
Certainly not over just yet, but it isn't looking great for OXG. They're going to try and stick to a rotation here.
I'm changing
Wildcard
maps.
already getting themselves established in on these rafters. Gym and bedroom attack, and it's being approached in a very similar way as to what we saw Oxygen do. Slightly different setup here, though. Yoga, deployable shield, at least briefly. Bit of barbed wire on the lower portion of the stairs. Mute jammer as well, so he can cleanse himself. So, and especially playing on the Wamai, he should have all the tools that he needs. How has Adam confirmed that kill? Baby Shark just got super unlucky on the angle there. But this is an aggressive round if ever I've seen one. The kills haven't stopped coming for OXG. We're flicking around and we can't find a single one of them. There's a flawless round in there somewhere, Lynx.
And a very kind of muted reaction from Gomez after that flawless. I mean, he's not exactly the most animated of people, but I think you can tell that she's still feeling the stakes a little bit, very much locked in. Job is not done, and I think the pressure of not making that major, losing your own map pick, by the way, in such a dominant fashion, is looming over them and will loom over any team, no matter the experience level. I think for a Wildcard, I imagine they're just going to brush that one off, kind of like, all right, we just got smoked that round. Spiker kind of embodying that at the moment. And you have CCTV Cache up next. This is a site that I think a lot of attackers would feel as having the best shot at winning. Sure, reasonable minds can disagree, but if you're able to get that plat wall open, then either sufficiently util dump garage or get a couple picks to push into construction side with an advantage, the side can fall really quickly because of how constricted it is, and especially with garage, how open it can be without an operator like Azami on the board. Thankfully, it is here, as Wildcard have really preferred the Mira ban on this site, as OXG did on their side either. Again, personally, I always think kind of on sites like this and Skyscraper, or maps like this and Skyscraper, for example, I think I personally prefer the Azami ban, but it's okay. Like I said, reasonable minds can differ.
I mean, the Azami ban could still come. It's just, are you saying you prefer it first?
Yeah, I'm saying I prefer it as like as a higher priority than Mira.
Yeah.
On this map. Because I think, like, you know, if you're looking at just general lineups, I think if Mira or Azami's unbanned, you're seeing Azami more often than Mira on this map.
I feel like it's something as well to do with the breaching. I feel like the mirror window can make the breaching quite difficult.
That is true, and I think that's kind of the big argument for the mirror window.
Regardless, though, in this round, we have a Maverick anyway. Spiker going to be opening up the CCTV wall right now. A very risky job, especially in this day and age. Only one C4 in Grix's hand, and it's certainly not primed and ready just yet, so we'll take advantage of that. Baby shot there with the catch as well. Yoga just gets punished on the aggression. I don't really know what you hope to gain from that sort of swing, because if an attacker's holding that angle, you better believe it's jobless. Like, there's no way that you're going to be able to win it.
Well, also, that's the kind of play that that everyone does nowadays, and everyone has been doing for a while, is Mavline opening things up, guy holding on left side of plat wall, holding that exact angle. I mean, people do that in ranked. Jobless people do that in ranked, but like that's something that is very, very common, and I think you just really got to be careful when you make plays like that. And y'all not only getting punished, but that's your smoke, that's the red stairs player, that's 30 seconds of utility, and we're not long on C4s on the defense, by the way. We've only got the one. And so if, God forbid, Wildcard find another pick, as Adam, by the way, roaming over on the gym side, they just gets hip fired in the process. God just intervened and moved those bullets. You might not find the next Wildcard escape with an advantage, potentially a 3v1. You've got to be careful on that Condor, Gomez. And he will, in fact, back off. So the minute remaining, OXG in the deficit.
You look at what OXG have got now, though, and it isn't a lot. Forrest, he's got a Kiba, he's got an Impact. They've not got a C4, they've not got anything to deny this plant, and there is a ton of time right now for Wildcard. Going to be able to get this wall open. Still got some stuns that they can send out there as well. Spiker looking to get a plant down. Gomez gets caught out there on the edge, and Forrest has found himself in a nightmare position.
There's just no way he's making out of this one. No, not a chance in hell. OXG's map pick in 9 rounds goes the way of their opponents. Wildcard now 1 map toward and 1 map away from qualifying to the Munich Major.
Wildcard there trying to right some of the wrongs from earlier on in this week. They lost 2 maps against Space Station. Space Station have gone on to get themselves in the grand final, so it's not something to feel too bad about, as Wildcard at the moment are looking fantastic here. It is a best of 3. There is another map to come as a guarantee, and potentially 2. We'll be back just after this.
That winning reaction was muted because I didn't hear anything that they said, but I'm pretty sure that Wildcard is absolutely happy about how this went. 7-2 against OXG on OXG's own map pick, when both of you said that it's going to go in OXG's favor.
Should have.
Yeah.
It should have, but it looks like OXG, that loss to Shopify Rebellion, it's the same thing that happened to DZ. Shopify just must have the super juice from the Monstars from Space Jam to be able to just take all their powers out, because it looked like OXG was just so scared of that loss yesterday that they just completely went back and reverted to what wasn't working. They had force on the shields on the Monty trying to push things. They had Adam and Gomez just playing, trying to be more utility based. It didn't look like OXG fell back to what worked throughout the regular stage in their best of ones, which was their entry game, having Adam and Gomez being able to go in together, find the picks. We didn't see that at all. It just looked like OXG's attacks were, let's try to, use a shield to put some pressure. Let's try to bring some more utility and abandon everything that was working for them.
They just don't look very comfortable. And then to start on their attacking half, only being able to muster out 2 of those rounds getting to opening engagement worked. Wildcard, on the other hand, like I said, putting the opening engagements and ending the round in their favor, that's what we needed to see, and that's exactly what we were seeing. But not only that, I think OXG kind of trolled in the map ban, not map ban fans, but the operator ban, banning out the Monty, which allowing Dash to then play the Blitz, where preferably I would have rather seen him on the Blackbeard, but you can still get aggressive with the Blitz, where Monty, he can't get that aggressive.
Yeah.
He has to slowly take his time to move up with Monty, overextend sometimes with the shield, and then make himself vulnerable. So the fact that they aren't really paying attention to the stylistic matchup and where the strengths and the weaknesses are in Wildcard, it definitely is not looking like the oxygen that we were seeing previous to jumping into playoffs, and it's a bit concerning.
Yeah, and speaking of Dash, that was a player that we highlighted as well coming into this matchup, saying that we really need him to step up, we want him to, and round 6 actually further highlights how this was the case this game.
Yeah, this was a little bit of troll. I think he played this way better than the rest of his team. This should not have jumped down to a 3v1, and this is what I'm talking about, those inconsistencies and the plagues that just are all over Wildcard's performance. That was a 3v1. All they had to do was play a simple crossfire, wait for the player to enter into cash, and then all swing together, and everyone else decides to swing. No real intention why they're swinging outside of let's just go for this kill, but then Dash is the only one that's playing it safe and thankfully clutches that round.
Yeah, and the next map coming up as well is going to be Lab, so this is where OXG really needs to lock in, because this is do or die. It's not just that it's one series that can actually knock them out and not make them go to Munich. It is one map.
Yeah, I hope the pressure doesn't get to them. It feels like we're just watching the OXG that we've been watching all throughout, last year up until stage 1, and their inconsistencies of when the pressure gets on their shoulders, they get quiet, they don't have the energy on their side, they start forgetting what defines success, and they just start going back to, let's just play behind force as a shield, let's just, work together, and it just doesn't work out. And in my opinion, it didn't really look like Wildcard played great, but it didn't look like Wildcard was that amazing to the point where, wow, they should be beating OXG. It looked like OXG was just not playing well at all. And on a map like Labs, which is way more spread out, we know OXG is very good at isolating those picks. If they don't have the confidence on their shoulders, I really hope we don't see them just go out like another 7-2. And I fear that's what we might see, is just another blowout performance from Wildcard because OXG's too scared to make mistakes.
I think it's a matter now on Wildcard. I mean, all the pressure's off your shoulder now. You could lose a map and realistically go to that third, but to keep the pressure going here and force Auction into uncomfortable situations that continue to collapse on their comms. Clearly, if you're struggling on Clubhouse, like I said, if that's what we were going to start to see at the beginning.
Which is crazy that this is the situation that we are in, because literally, like, what, 20 minutes ago, we were saying how great OXG is and how Wildcard needs to step up, and just, like, the fact that the tables have completely turned is insane, but this is OXG's final shot to try and stay in the competition and maybe punch their ticket to Munich. But on the other hand, Wildcard is looking to make their first international this year after their invite to Reload. But can they do it on Labs? I guess we're going to have to wait and see, as we're going to have our casters cover this one. So Ollie and Lynx, let us know what you think.
Well, I think there's 3 words, Ollie, or up the wild card. Simple as that. I mean, I don't know if we got to make it more complicated than that. If we kind of were briefly talking about how this matchup is a mirror image of what we saw in Stage 1, OXG versus Wildcard, first round of the lower bracket. Wildcard, while they lose, while they beat SG, then lose in the second round, they look promising. They completely collapsed. The pressure got to them and they faltered entirely. OXG qualified EWC as a result of it. Now, we got people losing in the second round, and now OXG seem to be completely collapsing under that pressure with Munich on the line.
I think that's what it's come down to, hasn't it? I think it feels like the pressure is getting to OXG more than anything else, because we know that they're a capable bunch. We've seen this team play fantastically throughout the stage. They've got themselves into the playoffs. And it's something that the desk was speaking about, has that loss to Shopify rattled them? Is that what is now causing them this lack of confidence and this sort of uncertainty? Because it's a great way to characterize how we were seeing them play on Clubhouse. We were seeing them play slowly. And what do we say when teams play slowly? We say they've not got a lot of confidence, they've not got a lot of information, they're not willing to take those risks that otherwise they would be willing to make. So a real tough time for OXG, and I feel like they might be stuck in their own heads a little bit at the moment, but they haven't got time to dwell on that right now, because this is a do-or-die map right here, right now. We go from one Clubhouse to the other. Labs, often pitted as the new age Clubhouse, just in some of the ways that it plays, to be honest.
I love this map.
It's one of my favorites.
I just love this map.
Of all the new maps, and I'm an oldie, so I still class it as a new map. I know it's old, it's been here for years, but of all the newer maps that have come out, Labs is by far and away my favorite.
I will say it is kind of crazy. This map is, I think, has just turned. This map in competitive play has just turned 2 years old. Introduced before Stage 2 of 2023. So it has been here for a little bit, but certainly one of the newer ones. And I still classify this as a new map in my mind as well. But I also, while I'm not old, I have been watching and playing this game for a long time. So,
all right,
I've been here for a bit. Been playing. This game came out when I was what? This game came out
9.
Shut up. This game came out when I turned 12? No, 14. There we go. Game turned out a month after I turned 14. By the way, what you're seeing right now is...
So you had to wait 4 years to play it?
Yeah. 100%.
That's been tough. Oh, I love this. See, this is why the mirrors... this is why the mirrors banned out.
However, they're doing the X-Kairos thing on the tops and bottoms of the reinforcements, so I suppose that with this just... Actually, have I was about to say, so yeah, it still makes it soft, so... If that were a thermite, genius. X-Kairos, it doesn't really do anything. Makes it awkward to open a little bit, but...
It does. And there's some element of it's going to be a bit scuffed. I think there's going to be there's like a finger of hard wall there, but oh no, it has been removed. It shouldn't be too much of a problem then.
Something
the ace that you've really got to be cautious of when that happens, and Dash is going to be throwing those Selmas here onto the connector wall, and it looks like there's a good bit of information there, some very accurate yellow pings. There should at least be one of them taken care of. It's just doing a good job of whittling down this utility from Wildcard, isn't it? They're not being given anything for free right now. They're really having to work for opening these external walls, which is kind of a given when attacking Labs. It's a point that we often talk about, how good our teams are opening up these walls.
Let's open up these walls. Adam, okay, getting away with highway robbery there. Spiker getting a kill on Garage, starts creeping in, but unfortunately Yaga's retaken the position and won't be able to move up nearly as far, especially after flashing himself. One thing to note, by the way, double hard breach denial ban, no hard breach ban from OXG, so bringing this Tuberao, this Mute, and this Mira, kind of a necessity if you want to lean into Hard Breach now. Those are your only tools remaining. Yeah, that glass is really difficult if you start moving around like that, unfortunately. Canton able to find a single angle. Spiker falters too after a brief kill. A brief moment of life for Wildcard. Backstab not working out. Spots Forrest prone behind the box on the floor, and well, Forrest knows he can't really get shot if he just moves a little bit to the left. Out of B's. So Baby Shark isolates the 1v1. Another attempt, but a nice crossfire held by OXG. Third round won so far this entire series, and at least it's the first on Nighthaven, is the positive spin on that one.
I was going to say the first on Nighthaven is the big storyline for that one, isn't it? Because they have started it in a way that they want to move forward with. It wasn't until round 4 that they got around over on Clubhouse, but they've come out the gate a lot hotter. And they've obviously had a little bit of time in between the two maps to sort of discuss things and get themselves stable ahead of coming into this one. Speaking of the bans as well, I do find it a little bit strange that we have seen, of course, the double denial, but then nothing really to do with removing hard breaches, which is a very staple, mainstay of this map. We expect hard breaches to be banned. It's one of the reasons why it can be both a really enjoyable map to watch, because you see teams have to come up with, different ways of opening walls, and you get a little bit of an alternate. But it also just makes things a lot easier for the defenders. And at the moment, it feels like OXG have just sort of pigeonholed themselves into having to play a certain set of operators, which obviously it didn't do them any harm in round 1, but we'll have to see if it's something that develops as the game continues. Looks like we are just in a little bit of a tech at the moment. OXG coming away with that first round, so that's going to be locked on in. Not a tactical, not an early tactical from Wildcard. They're not that. I don't think they're that skittish tonight, Lynx.
Not pulling the trigger on the timeout after one round loss.
That's it. We've lost a round.
A 2v1. No tactical needed, especially since Wildcard are up 1-0 in the series while down 0-1 on Nighthaven. Their map pick, by the way, OXG lost there 7-2. That was Clubhouse if you're just tuning in. And second floor site going OXG's way, that attempt. And to be fair, I think we will say for what limited hard breach denial tools they have, which just to enumerate them in its entirety, we have Tuberao, we have Mute, and if you want to stretch the definition, but I think it's a valid expansion, we have the Mira, which we literally saw destroy a Selma charge in that round. And might just be the strategy OXG want to go for, is to freeze them with the Zoto canisters and break them with the mirror windows. I think it's worth pointing out that Forrest had both mirror windows in pocket and attempted to destroy one set of breaches with it, and then successfully destroyed another set on the connector wall. However, that is a strategy we are mainly going to see on the top floor, maybe the bottom floor, but I would highly doubt that given the presence of verticality from above that could be acquired by the attack. It's probably, if we're going to see the Tuberao Mira again for that purpose in particular, it's likely going to be when we're defending second floor, or if there is like a really concerted top floor hold, and yet it appears we might have that exact thing and no Mira or Tuberao present. A lot more trap operators, specifically the Fenrir entering play, the castle to extend and create some of these kind of extensions to the bomb site. We also have the Pulse as well. Grixer might even be playing down below. Try and find some information and use that C4 for the late round in case Wildcard, I don't know, decide to rush in with a blitz and go for a plant.
Now, I know we've had some very one-sided games here in Stage 2 of NAL, so the stats are maybe a little bit skewed. So you kind of got to take them with a little pinch of salt, or maybe a large pinch of salt.
Large pinch of salt.
Storage and Control has got a 27% attacking win rate, which seems pretty criminal, given that it's definitely a second, third choice site. It's not a primary choice site on this map. And you would expect attackers to win it more often than not, in my opinion, because based on just the fundamentals of it, it's got a window that you can hop in directly into the site. That always leans very heavily into the attacker favor. So I'm putting it down to some skewed games, but the stat's the stat, so we've got to run with it. We can see how Wildcard want to approach things here today. Brought themselves pretty much everything they could need to get this job done right now. Dash and Bay are going to be in charge of dealing with some of that roam game. They're going to be initially making their charge of just straight in. Why not? Dash, yep, just get himself. Oh, okay. Bay team kills him. Brilliant. Then Bay dies. That's gone terribly.
How? how has it even happened? Wait. Oh, wait. I was about to say there might have been a double nade kill there. But how do you even do that? Like, stuff happens. I get it. How do you team kill him there? The castle has fully retreated into the site. There's a castle barricade blocking off garage. There was physically nobody you could confuse him with. Like, that's honestly one of the most perplexing teams. I'm usually like pretty forgiving with team kills because hey, you have nerves, things happen. I really don't know how that happens. Like that's really bizarre. Like look, well, there was a castle barricade there, I'm pretty sure. Wasn't there? I thought there was.
Yeah, there was. You're not going crazy.
Okay, I just wanted to be clear. Either way, that is basically a flawless round for OXG, and also I truly do not know how a team kill happens there.
It's one of the worst cases of mistaken identity I think I've ever seen.
Yeah.
I don't know who you've mistaken a blitz with. Because there's no one on the defense that looks like a blitz.
No one on the defense that looks like it. The guy on the defense has just pulled back into the site. There's literally a castle barricade. Yeah, I would take a timeout too.
I don't know if it's timeout worthy. Not unless someone's raged.
Anyway, I don't think anybody's raged. Anyway, that clearly did not work. You do not need me to say that. Seemed fine in theory, right? And like, I don't even necessarily like hate the overall play. And I'm honestly just more curious what happened aside from the Bay and Dash engagements. Because even if that worked, even if the team kill doesn't happen and they get that kill and move into the site, everyone else died at the exact same time. I'm not entirely sure what they were doing, but clearly there were greater issues than the bizarre team kill that we saw. And I do think that sure it's 2-0, but I think when you have a preset plan that goes that wrong, it's always a fair time to take a tactical timeout, especially since you've lost 2 sites on Nighthaven. This is your pick, want to regain the momentum.
Yes, I mean, I've watched the replay. I still don't get it.
Yeah, I mean, so what we have one engagement happening outside of the like storage window or barrels window, or storage window, excuse me. But like, I don't know. Was it just poor intel gathering? Maybe was it? Did Yaga see something and the defense was ready for it? That sometimes happens with a pulse, right? I mean, we saw it last night. I believe it was SSG had the heartbeat scanner. They were scanning through the floor. Maybe that was the game I cast with Parker. Either way, there was a cafe game that happened this week where they had a pulse looking down towards bottom white stairs on cafe, and they see 2 players down below. And when you see 2 players stationed at that doorway, it's like, oh, there's a Russian coming in. Completely stopped the round. Completely halted that rush from having any kind of success. And pulse can do that. So maybe that's what happened, but just speculating.
I think that's one of the reasons why you don't see rushes of that nature when you're unsure if they may or may not have a pulse. If you don't know they've got a pulse, then you can't really go for it. If you know they've got one, then you definitely can't go for it. It's something that you've kind of got to get a bit of a better handle on, a bit of a head count. Oh, Spiker. He should have been dead there, I'm sure of it. Grixer pumped him with the shotgun. He's taking a few shots in return. Again, a quick round. Look at Dash, he's already in the sightlings.
All right, well, this one's a lot better than the other one, as whatever gap they thought they saw in round 2, they were perfectly well in exploiting in round 3. There's nobody fighting back. I think they're just making vert on that position. Really great stuff from Wildcard coming out of the tactical timeout. Might have been a preset rush, but I think that definitely was spotting a bit of a gap in the lineup. You see the vertical angles, and Dash planted right outside of the line of sight of all of them, I'm pretty sure. First kill only comes when we're already halfway through the post-plant process. And that's the exact kind of thing you want to see for Wildcard to bounce back into things. Adam on 1 HP, spotted by Dash. Won't be a tie game, but Wildcard are more than back in it. Ready to play after the timeout.
Love seeing that after a tactical timeout. A really well-coordinated rush. They spotted the gap, saw the opportunity, and we said, you know, get Dash on the shield, get him moving. Brilliant opportunity spot in there. Making space on the blitz as well, able to push down through cargo. And this time, Bay with a true shot. I mean, Dash was moving a lot quicker that time. I think he was zigging and zagging left and right just to make himself a moving target and a little bit harder to hit from behind. But Bay was true with his shot there and was able to pick up that opening pick. And then, I mean, from there, OXG weren't expecting that sort of a rush. A lot of the times when we've seen Nighthaven Labs recently, there has been a real focus on vending side. And everything seems to live and die on that vending side of things, in and around EXO stairs. There was none of that here. It was clear and simple. Get the breaches open, make it difficult for them to rotate in through, and send somebody down, pushing into Animus. Get behind the tank and start getting that plant down. Brilliant push there from Wildcard. Gets them their first attacking round here and can move upstairs. Now, this was a fairly close affair. Obviously, OXG being successful in their opening round here. But we commented at the time, Lynx, how the lack of a hard breach ban, and now with the Blitz ban coming out as we enter round 4, yeah, Blitz has been good for Wildcard. They've been able to pick up a round off the back of it just then. There was a failed rush attempt in round 2, so it's a 50-50 sort of operator at the moment for Wildcard, which I'm pretty sure it always is for Dash. It now gives him the opportunity of playing the Blackbeard, which I'm not saying it's where he'd maybe rather be, but it's not a bad substitute, is it? It probably makes him a little bit more lethal, if anything, and it still doesn't do anything to deal with this lack of hard breach denial.
Yeah, and obviously, you know, I can't speak to, like, the player comfort side, like, you know, what one individual player or the player class generally would prefer in regards to Blitz and Blackbeard, but functionally, strategically, they're going to play a similar role. Like, they're going to be doing a lot of the same things when you employ them in a strategy. So I don't think Dash, who plays a lot of Blitz and Blackbeard, I mean, it's not his most played shield operators. That actually has been Monty so far this stage, but last stage he's playing a lot of Blitz, playing a lot of Blackbeard, and he's plays them very similar. So I don't think Dash is really going to feel that this difference is all that substantial. Not having the blind, of course, makes gunfights a little more difficult, but it's going to do a lot of the same things. I'm kind of surprised that, you know, even still with the double hard reach, don't see the Tuberow brought in by OXG. They really are just kind of resigning themselves to these walls getting open. And honestly, Ollie, maybe that's a good thing, right? You kind of just accept it with the Ace and the Hibana on the board that these walls are getting open and try to create contingencies off the back of it. And that's exactly what they've done. We've got the Kibas for insight construction. We've got Banshees and Gurjmots for traps insight. I think that is, you know, just accepting those walls will get open and creating things behind it. I think actually probably is the better and safer play.
Yeah, gives them something else to focus on as well, doesn't it? But it is going to make things quite tricky, especially with the speed in which Wildcard are moving with. Wall, it's going to be stopped from opening there. Dash has pushed himself in nice and aggressively into electrical. We've got the air jab placed out there as well. Makes Atom's position very difficult here. Does have the option of drawing the shotgun out, so can try and play this little close range engagement, but he's conscious of being pushed from below as well. Baby Shark on that book is an ever-present threat. Will be Forrest down there to try and deal with that. At the moment, it is a little bit of a stall out right now for Wildcard, and it's allowing a lot of flexibility for OXG. You can see how they're rotating in and around the site. Flash coming in is usually a sign of something about to happen. As Dash has rotated himself around and got himself into this electrical construction, connector breach, and there's that pressure from below. Baby Shark taking Forrest down. That flank now is going to have zero impact, and it really frees Baby Shark up to use that skeleton key.
This nade also might free Dash to hop in. I was about to say take the 1v1, I assume, with Adam right around the corner. Yeah, Kansan following it up with the AK-12. Great stuff by Wildcard as they make an entry into the site. I think Grixer, yeah, just joining Yaga upstairs. This plant should go down successfully. No C4s, no nothing to speak of whatsoever. Grixer with a Gurjmot in pocket will stun Dash on the fall off, but the moment to knock that shield back and potentially deny the plant, it's gone! That's a hell of a good reaction by Grixer as Dash, a bit alone inside of the site, takes the 1v1 against Yaga, wins it. Grixer in a rough spot now. Got to win the duel of the melees. Got to find a way out of this cross, and it won't happen. You can see the thought process from Wildcard in that round. You see Dash holding that nade, throwing it across the door to take the 1v1 against Yaga around the corner. I have to say, really just good thinking on your feet by Wildcard in that round. Could have maybe used a bit more utility, but of what they had, they made really good use of it.
There was some great play from both players there, and by both players, I mean Grixer and Dash. Dash did such a good job of maintaining a little bit of distance there in that post plant, and was able to keep a safe distance away from Grixer and not let melees or anything like that become a thing, and it allowed his teammate to buddy up so that they could get the 2 versus 1. But what about that shot from Grixer onto Baby Shark downstairs? Like, having the foresight, knowing that Forrest has died from Baby Shark downstairs, the book below. That's going to have been called out. What's the book going to do? He's going to continue to play below. Oh, look, there's Vert underneath the plant spot. Bang. Let's take a little pop shot down there and just absolutely snaps onto it. A bit of a closer round there, and OXG not rolling over necessarily. I still think the plant being allowed to go down there is a little bit soft. And it does speak to the lack of denial here. Wildcard are recognizing that, and they're going, you know what? If you're not bringing anything to deny, we know that we're comfortable with a low amount of time. We know that we're happy to get this plant down. And what are you going to do about it?
That's exactly what I was going to say, because it not only has ramifications for the plant, it also has ramifications for the early round. When you only have one C4 that gets used early on, if you're a mute playing in that position, you don't have anything to ward off Dash or anybody pressuring you around the corner. You just have to anticipate that engagement is coming and likely going to come soon. Whereas if you at least have a C4 to kind of threaten and rip, you buy 5-10 seconds. If you have a toxic canister, you can throw it, detonate it, you buy 5 or 10 seconds. And not only is that lack of denial utility has effects for the post lane, but it has effects for just the player playing in that position. So at that point, your only hope is the shotgun, and with a shield in your way, there's only so much it can do. We'll have a reattempt of the second floor. Forrest making a rotation to the Clash, as I think realizing that, Ollie, this isn't necessarily going to deny the post, but it is going to stop people from pushing in and pressuring the player on that B chassis like they did before.
Yeah, it should buy a little bit more time, shouldn't it, for Oxygen? They should be able to, you know, contend a little bit. Wildcard, fortunately for them, haven't opted for a shield this time. It's only the Blackbeard or the few shield that is, of course, left, with the Monty and the Blitz being banned. But they're going for a slightly alternate approach. Or maybe they read into that during that drone prep phase and were able to switch off a little bit. Some good info there for Dash. Should be able to get a Capital Fireball in there with basically zero consequence. Gets a glimpse onto the head. Doesn't want to give a chance at a little lucky headshot here. And Gomez does need to play this fairly cautiously, but he is dialed. He knows exactly where Dash is going to be coming from, and he's going to place a few pot shots out there just to let him know that he's coming. You better believe that that asphyxiating bolt is coming sooner or later, and that's Gomez pushed down to less than half HP, and Baby Shark wastes no time. Great coordination from Wildcard. As soon as that position is vacant, bam, Baby Shark's filling the gap.
I definitely see a progression from Wildcard over these past couple rounds. Really kind of struggling to put together the pieces, figure out how to make that pace work. But since then, I mean, we've had Wildcard win the opening kill. Well, that's technically not true, but get the opening kill not on their teammates every single time it's happened. And now they're actually finally starting to convert those advantages. Ooh, Adam. Oh, that's some rough timing. Turning off the glasses right as the player swings, but backing off with the C4. Caught on the door frame. It's Baby Shark to lose out on that engagement. Big trade. Bomb chassis position might be gone, but takes out the immediate player in electrical, and this, I think, is really going to stump Wildcard. Yeah, that clash behind the shield. Fortunately, a false signal for Kansan, not a freebie like I think he thought and hoped it would be. Now Spiker trying to resign things to the backstab, and yet you can even see OXG, they're ready for it. They've got somebody watching Aqua, even though it's barricaded. That's how careful this team is going to be. It's been a close half so far, and it will continue to be so as we tie things up, or get close to tying things up, excuse me, getting ahead of myself. But it is still OXG and Wildcard now, finally, I think, neck and neck, Ollie.
It's nice to see OXG go back to the same site. It's not something we see a lot of teams do anymore. Teams really like to stick to that rotation, have the option to take a timeout, and then start to revisit little problem areas. OXG happy to go back to this top floor, and they bring a very different set of tools to enable them to do that. Wildcard, not able to have that same level of impact, and despite taking really good early control of Garage, I don't want to say that it was the shield that they were lacking, but with the Blackbeard, it certainly worked a lot better because you've got that one player that's got the confidence to really get in and amongst OXG on that defense there, and without it, they did just struggle to try and probe and poke and find those gaps, and OXG playing a very nice reserved brand of Siege there, just playing to their win condition. Still going to be bringing the Clash this time, but it will be in the hands of Yoga instead. And the pull switch has been a bit of a mainstay on Nighthaven Labs tonight. It's going to be brought again. And OXG, once again, favouring this middle floor site. It's not often that we see storage and control. Some teams will favour sort of kitchen cafeteria side, or just sort of flick and flop between top floor and basement. But this is the site that we've seen twice along with that top floor. Maybe the rush round that Wildcard pulled off is reason enough for OXG not to want to go down to the basement again, and maybe reason why they would like to go here again, because this was, of course, the failed rush attempt that we saw Wildcard attempt.
It's just so weird. I feel like we just don't see Thermite so often anymore. This is a small thing, doesn't really connect to any point of analysis, but I do still like seeing it kind of used on those breaches. It's just such an effective tool. Like, you get the range breaches, they do quite a lot, but you got that big opening right there, and I will say actually some impact for this site. It does make controlling the flow and the retake from the second floor to look down into the B site a lot more easy when you have Spiker having this wide line of sight than just like a small hard recharge hole made in the wall. And you clearly see that will factor in a Wildcard's mind because they want to go for a quick execute into this position. Y'all got the clash on the opposite side, by the way, and these air jabs being used effectively to ward off the retake. And while Kansan might go down, Wildcard's immediate objective is accomplished. They found a way into B. They just need to get Dash in with that diffuser. Oh, what a shot by Adam. Breaks open the barricade, takes down 1 point of cover. Now Baby Shark and Spiker are a little trapped for resources as the clash moving in, getting into the right spot. Nade banked around the corner, and unfortunately, that nade is not going to do the work I think Wildcard hoped it would. A lot of credit going to Adam hitting that shot onto Bay. It allows Yaga to move in, puts a lot of pressure onto Spiker and Baby Shark. And the round swings in their favor, and OXG, assuming they don't throw, likely win the half off the back of that one engagement.
Well played there from OXG. I think Wildcard definitely had an opportunity there, and again, as soon as you see that plant start to go down, you do start to worry a little bit. Can be a really difficult site to try and retake. Spiker, his position now known. These OXG players aren't going to line up for him either. These are going to be very separated engagements. Forest above calls out on the pulse scanner. You got the clash that you've got to constantly be worried about. And as soon as you turn your back, what happens? Yaga peeks out from behind the shield and takes you down. OXG achieving a 4-2 split here. Same split that they were able to get against Cloud9 when they played Nighthaven Labs during the regular stage only a couple of weeks ago. OXG did go on to win that game as well, as they were good for 3 rounds on the attack. So setting themselves up here quite nicely. The pressure now doesn't entirely switch on to Wildcard, because of course with them winning map 1 they have a little bit of a buffer. But it would certainly be nice to come in here and to do the business on what is their map choice.
Yeah, but it's good for OXG, though, starting to get some of that life in on the defense in particular. I like a lot of the adaptations. I think bringing in the clash really did a lot for these OXG defenses, which already started off quite nicely. And I really am intrigued to see what Wildcard decide to do as the ban phase comes through. Hey, double hard reach ban. There it is. Ace and the Maverick, so actually one of the ranged breaches will be available to the defense, or excuse me, to the attack, but more importantly, we'll see the Cade Mira, which both OXG and Wildcard have done pretty frequently in their games. And a lot of the times we won't even really see the Bandit necessarily come into play, but this time we see both the Bandit batteries and the Zoto canisters from Baby Shark and Dash respectively come in. I was about to say, I'm curious. Baby Shark not really making an effort to hide it, so that is something I was about to say that OXG would likely see, and usually what we see as a response is the Zofia. Some sites, for example, when you're attacking Office Exhibition on Skyscraper, you can go down below, sit out the window, and lifeline 2 shots below the house wall to open that up. Equivalent on this map is you go outside the cargo window, shoot up where Baby Shark is right now on the floorboards underneath. That's exactly what Forest will likely do with those impact lifelines.
Yeah, it'll make it pretty impossible for Baby Shark to bandit trick. He will, of course, have a bit of success on the connector wall if he wishes to. And that's definitely going to be the primary focus. But I think, based off the way that we saw OXG play on side of Clubhouse, you've just got to kind of set these little problems up for them. And again, is there a little bit of an oversight here in the bans, allowing that bandit through? Because bandit is a very viable ban here on Labs. And anything that Wildcard can do to make things a little bit trickier or a little bit more drawn out, they're definitely going to try and take advantage of that. Zoto canister will stop the exothermic for the time being. Dash just getting a little bit ballsy, peeking out onto that window, but we know that there's nobody home. That breach will eventually be opened, unless Dash chooses to start chaining Zoto canisters together, which looks like he is doing for the time being. again, maybe it just comes down to really wanting to burn out a lot of this clock here for OXG, knowing that that's where basically all of their problems came from when we saw them play on Clubhouse only 30 minutes ago.
I think Dash does use a Zoto canister in the process. Might have missed as an IT wall does get opened up. So maybe some potential for that denial wasted. You could also then translate it to the connector wall or anybody pushing in through the rafters. Do often see sometimes too where I'll play close around a corner, throw a Zoto down to their feet, and wow!
What a shot. What a shot.
I mean, not only is that just a very impressive shot, wow, what a great C4 too. Not only is that an impressive shot by Kansan, but that fully retakes the house side, and the importance here is not a position they'll hold, but it's something they can cross off their list. Kansan can retake and say, hey, that was just Adam backstabbing. Nobody else is over here. We can all train our guns over to IT, over to Garage, and as long as we have somebody watching Aqua, we know exactly what this push is going to look like. And hey, they find the Aqua guy next. Wildcard perfectly reading the situation in front of them, also with some great utility usage. Really being treated to a great game of Rainbow Six in front of us right now on Nighthaven, specifically from these defensive teams. Unfortunately, just for OXG, now that they've switched to the attack, they're the one that has to watch all the masterful play being done to them. So flashbang goes deep. Don't think it even hits anybody in the process. No, Kansan, literally who that flash was intended for, smokes Grixer right after. How about a flawless round for Wildcard to start on their defenses as Gomez won't even get one. Not a tie game, but one round away from it.
I think that was my big worry here for OXG moving on to the attack. Yep, we've seen them do a good job on the defense. They got a 4-2 split. Fantastic. As we know, Nighthaven Labs, incredibly defender-sided this stage. Now, is that skewed games? Is it just the general state of things? A team starting to understand how the bans work? It's going to be a combination of all of those things. But for OXG to come in there and to show us the same style, the same type of stall out that we saw over on Clubhouse, where rounds are coming down into, I mean, there was, what, 19 seconds left on the clock there?
Something like that.
Not loads has happened, to be honest with you. Yeah, we've got some breaches open, but as soon as the backstab's dead, it's like, oh, well, the round's done then. We've only got Rafters control, and you've basically been given that at that point. It's a requirement from the defenders to hold it for a portion of the round long enough so that they see fit and feel like they've done enough to hold Rafters, and eventually you can just give it up, and you can just say, yeah, you can challenge me on a direct 90-degree angle if you want to try and peek around from the reinforced wall leading into control, or you can start messing around trying to breach open that control wall, but you just know that there's going to be impact, C4s, just everything flying out through that rotation. So always going to be a tough time.
Well,
I really don't want to see OXG on that stall out, and I don't know, maybe they need to take that time out and get it out of the way early, because it was something that was good for a round over on Club. We kind of need it to be good for a round here as well.
And also something I think, you know, maybe might be worth seeing is like maybe the Ying and the Grim enter. You know, I know kind of this is a very big Shield team, not really a big Ying team whatsoever. I mean, Grixer will play Grim, but it's not like a mainstay of their lineups, and might be worthwhile. Because, you know, in that round that we just saw, I think, you know, you have the Nomads and the Capitals kind of focused for like an IT and connector side attack, especially with that backstab. But if the initial push doesn't work, you don't have those Candelas or those Bees, that kind of utility. Even if it's a shield, that kind of utility that kind of gives you a way back in and a way to rotate really quickly, even in a disadvantage. And this lineup that we're looking at right now is, unfortunately, maybe going to be something similar, but a little bit different. It's going to be focused on the early round. You have the Deathmark Tracker already hunting down the Azami and the Dokkaebi calls as well to try and give OXG this advantage. Set up Yaga and Grixer as they push in. Yaga right in the middle of things with one player inside of control. The other, I think, spotted on Rafters. That's Grixer trying to hold that cutoff position. And yet with that Kiba, they can play behind it so nicely. Nothing gained from that Tracker or the Dokkaebi call for the moment, even though Yaga has at least got in. Another one dedicated to this Azami. They've got to be really careful, yet the first pick breaks Wildcard's way. Grixer can't push around as the Kiba's destroyed soon after. The entry falls as Yaga's prey ends up getting active in the process. Bay2 kills one, falls back immediately into the site off the back of it. Clean retreat down through the hatch. And Wildcard not at all fooled by OXG's early game. The calls go out, the Deathmark Tracker twice, and it just seems to embolden this defense. Another 2v5 for OXG.
We talk about masterclasses. That was a disaster class. Dokkaebi, Deimos. You've got everything you need. You've got drones. You couldn't ask for more to discover where these players are. And you were so close, yet so far at the same time. Another flawless round as Dash cleans up that final kill. And Wildcard further increase their lead here. I tell you what, Lynx, it feels like these guys are going to Munich.
I mean, 2 flawless rounds in a row. I don't know if they're going to Munich, but we're certainly going into a tactical timeout for OXG. I have to think that's a guaranteed destination. So we and the teams will have 45 seconds to breathe. As if we're going to have play like that, that 4-2 half is not going to be enough for OXG. Not enough whatsoever. We got to see better stuff than that. And, you know, Dokkaebi Deimos is a pretty classic combo at this point, right? Like, the calls, the tracks, like, I'm a fan of it. And if you even look at the rest of that lineup, like, there's a pretty clear rationale for a lot of the things brought. We have a Valkyrie on the board, got to have the IQ. So I'm fine with Adam bringing that, even if IQ doesn't bring a lot of utility generally. You've got a direct counter there. I'm chill with it. Ram, you're attacking basement. You got to bring those boogie drones. So it's not even that OXG were bringing a lot of the wrong tools for the job. Like, maybe they could have done something differently, but a lot of what you'd want for a roam clear and for a basement attack were present. A lot of it really did just come down to, I think, maybe a lack of coordination with that utility, because we've got, what, an IQ and a Deimos on the board? Well, that's, what, 2 to 4 nades right there? Maybe somebody finds a way to bank it around the corner, land it on the rafters, put pressure on the zombie from that position. Maybe Grixer switches spots with somebody that you can have somebody throwing the rafter or throwing the nades from the door. Who knows? But a lot of the right utility and operators were there. I think it was just positioning for OXG and coordination on that realm, or that realm clear. That was the issue.
And it's a shame as well because, like you say, they've got the tools to do it. We know them to be capable players. We know that they've got it in them to clear a roam. But for whatever reason, that opening pick eludes them tonight. It weren't fantastic over on Clubhouse with the opening pick, and they've certainly not been great here on Labs.
I mean, Ollie, OXG have been in the 5v4 only 3 times this map, and one of them was because Wildcard shot their own teammate.
Attackers are heading out to defuse a bomb.
Yogger and Gomez rounds 5 and 6. The only couple of times that we got opening picks from OXG. Of course, as you mentioned, there was a little TK incident, which technically gave them the advantage for a brief time, but the round ended as predicted after you get a team kill like that and a bit of a rush attempt. It wasn't a finest moment for Wildcard, but we do have ourselves a tied game here. And OXG are now starting to, well, they need to find some answers. They've taken their tactical timeout. They've also taken Dash down early on. He will be recovered, though. Now, after the timeout that we saw on Clubhouse, they started to move a little bit quicker. It hasn't necessarily been speed that's been the problem here. Again, it feels like that lack of confidence. You're struggling with a roam game. You need a little bit more confidence to try and deal with it. You need to be bringing the right tools for the job, but a double kill from Bay just makes things go from bad to worse.
Well, and I mean, oh no, this
we're
is
just sending it.
This is
we're just sending it in.
Oh no. I mean, you really hate to see it.
You know what this is?
What?
This is a basically flawless round because only Bay's died.
Shut up. I'm bringing that one back. It's only basically flawless if the one guy dies when it's a 1v5. That's only what makes it a basically flawless. If it happens, if it happens in the normal course of events, that doesn't count because that implies something went well. If it's a 1v5 and then Gomez gets a kill, that doesn't count. Like the intention, like the vision of that round is already fit.
Yeah.
So, just want to get
I
that
am glad that
record.
Gomez is in the site right now because I was worried we were going to have to go through a tactical timeout and then watch him sit on the roof for 1 minute and 45 seconds. But at least he's giving it a go. Now, he is 1 HP. There aren't any smokes left, but he has been able to get himself 1 kill and collect the diffuser. There is a little chance here, especially given that these 2 players are still out here on the roam.
Yeah, 1 player Aqua, which he is kind of exposed to right now, but Wildcard playing it really safe, not even swinging out for this engagement. Who sees him around the corner? Oh! There's actually, there is a kill there. Very, very achievable for Gomez. Sadly, will not go his way. As off the back of a tactical timeout, or coming out of the tactical timeout, OXG improve. They got 1 kill. Where for 2 rounds now, they have got 0 against Wildcard. And it seems that what little steam they had going into the side swap, moving into their attacks, has all but evaporated. And if you look at that round, the idea, you said you wanted to see a bit more of that pace, a bit more of that energy. They bring the blitz. It's the exact kind of thing you want to do. And hey, something Forest is known for, something that I know the desk has kind of been a fan of them going away from that, being so reliant on it, which I agree with. But it's still something I like to see because there were a lot of really entertaining moments with OXG playing off those shields. But right there, I'm not sure what happened on the side with Bay and Garage, but getting 2 kills at both IT and Garage all by yourself, something clearly went awry. Something was mistimed or who knows. Could have just been a crazy flick from Bay. But when you're the blitz and you're supposed to inject some pace and literally an entire side of your push gets dismantled by one guy in the span of a second, like what the hell are you supposed to do at that point? It's kind of just, that's this map, this series encapsulated for OXG at the moment. Nothing's going right. Even when they're trying to make some changes, by the way, that I think are good and I like the idea and the vision behind them, it's just not working. And whether that's because of communication or dumb luck, it's just not working. And now, no tactical timeout left, no ability to pause. We're going back to second floor, which is where the first flawless round was out of the 2 we've seen so far.
Reloading.
Maybe the Nook will be the solution here.
Yeah, I looked at the Nook and then I looked at the other side and saw the glass and thought, okay, maybe. We do love a little bit of glass.
We do.
What they are lacking is going to be hard breach. They've got the tin openers, granted. But if you haven't already sensed, I'm not the biggest fan. You need to be able to be making these more than just hop throughs or crouch throughs. Tin openers great for lines of sight, great for a little alternate angle. But when you're looking to try and make a push through somewhere, you want as little resistance as possible. With the lineup that OXG want to bring, they want to bring some of these more fun toys, should we say. They are going to be forced into bringing those tin openers. IT breach will be open, and Yoga will have a couple of avenues of approach that he's going to be able to make use of, or not, as Dash actually takes him out early. Can only think that Yoga just walked up to the breach there and tried to start peeking on through. Gomez will respond. I like this movement from Atom right now. There is quite a bit of info kicking around, but of course on the Nook, he can navigate around that somewhat.
And will shoot the black eye camera in the process. You can see noise being made. Oh, I actually think Adam just creeps around the barbed wire there. Just walking up the rim of that staircase ever so slightly. He will wait a little bit. Oh, but now Forrest is on the side, so he's just... All right, well, he just secured the position, but Adam will have to backstep from another position because now Wildcard will definitely be aware that somebody's pushing from Garage. At least I think. I mean, they are, but... What's the plan here?
There's nothing to make Wildcard move at the moment. Wildcard can be really static in what they want to do. Because OXG have lost a couple of bodies early, they haven't got that person to send around and backstab. Forrest is actually going to be doing that now, and he's got the kit. He's maybe the last person that you want in that position.
No, you don't. Don't really want him there. Kanza now wrapping around. Doesn't have to evade the barbed wire like Adam does. Sprints up. There he is. Oh, first opportunity misses. Second one, too. Adam being blessed with that one as he follows it up with the next onto the Deagle. Spiker just trying to make it stop, trying to keep a hold on this round, keep match point alive, and that might be the kill that makes it happen. Adam not able to push in like he was. That double does not merit what it seemed like it should. So now he's got to rotate around to Aqua. He is filling that gap, but again with no diffuser, they've got to win on kills. Adam just sees him. Oh no! Spiker prone, looking the wrong way. Only 15 seconds remaining. Baby Shark might have control of this diffuser, but as the C4 goes out, can't drop down below, can't play close, needs to land that shot and the next, but he waits too long on the nade. Nowhere to move, and the dead man's hand gets OXG their first round out of 4.
Such a nail biter. Like, not even a real close round in the grand scheme of things, but throw it into the context of this game and how much we've seen OXG struggle. A big round for him to come away with there, and they were trying everything to make that happen. I was so nervous when Forrest was the one that went for that rotate. That was a pretty bad engagement by Kansan standards as well. He had a couple of whiffy shots today. A little bit uncharacteristic for him. Oh, you could even see Grix's HP there. It's just it's a stretch of range for that shotgun, unfortunately for Baby Shark. A little bit closer, and there's a good chance that he gets both. I was a little bit worried when I saw Forrest go for that rotation, knowing that he had the kit. But it was a good move from OXG. They'd given themselves a little bit of time to be able to make that move due to how quickly they'd moved in the early portion of the round. Instead of it just ending there where we've seen it previously, there was still a little bit of life left in the round. There was 30, 40 seconds, enough time for them to make that rotate and get themselves in for that alternate angle. But a lot really coming down to Atom, who has been quiet in the series, but historically has been a player that OXG have looked to get a good portion of kills.
Back to the blitz. Ollie, I gotta say, I'm thinking a little about how it went previously, and I'm feeling a little nervous. Just being honest.
I mean, it's not been great for both teams, has it? Let's be honest.
No, it's not really. Now that you think about it, at least, well, at least on this map. Only time was good was that basement rush though from Wildcard. Let's be fair.
Yes, which was, you know, what, 50% of the time that we saw it, less than. Because then there was the other rush, which was just shocking.
Horrifying, some would say.
Yeah. So it's, I don't know. I don't necessarily think of it and think, oh yeah, great pick. But sometimes I'll ask for it though. Sometimes I'll be like, I think they need to play it. So I think you've kind of just got to let them roll with it, right?
Well, Force will get rocking and rolling after that Dokubi call, but I think unfortunately just walking into an F-Naught, and that will kind of, I think, blunt a bit of OXG's excitement. They'll get in, getting vertical control, but I suppose if that was their win con, hey, you got the early round. You can start opening up these vertical angles, look down. It is a first floor defense. So you're doing a lot of what you need to do. Dash aiming for the retake. He's taken a couple questionable engagements, I will say, but C4 around the corner will ward off the blitz. Won't get anything, but yeah, unfortunately, it's the second time now that Dash has been the opening pick for Wildcard, and both times it's getting aggressive where I don't think he needed to. They now sprinting away. What the hell? Gomez hunting him down. Double for the Dokubi at the moment as Wildcard, I think, pushing their hand a little bit. Dash getting aggressive. Bay off site 2. Kansan getting cut off. OXG seemed on the ropes. They were struggling for anything. But now they went a nail biter on the second floor, and in round 11, it's not even close.
Wildcard are trying a little bit too hard, aren't they? You can see they're just getting caught out of position. It was Kansan there, for me, was the player that was, you know, really out of it. And it's giving OXG a fantastic platform right now. That could be a big C4, though. It takes Grixer and Forrest super low, but isn't going to deal the finishing blow. Goggles activated now, as you know that blitz is bearing down on you. But you have to hit your shots here. You've no choice. And Yoga will punish. Baby Shark, sole survivor. Plan going down, and a blitz bearing down on you. No goggles for Baby Shark. Unfortunately, he's the castle. He's already set and forgotten about his utility. We'll find one, though. Blitz is turning the backs on players. It's something we're seeing more and more. Atom, he fell in the melee as well. With that plant being confirmed, Yoga and Gomez can use that time to get themselves back to a safer portion to look at this plant from. Going to be opting for a little bit of vertical control here. An attempt at a bit of a bait out there from Baby Shark. But he hasn't really got the time to be playing those sorts of games. It's going to be Gomez to close it out there. And OXG, they've found some life links.
They have, right at the finish line. I think you and I both starting to check out of this game a little bit. Be like, okay, you know, Wildcard, flawless, only lose 1 or 2 in the third round. OXG are done for. And yet it's a really close one in round 10. And the next thing you know it, you just got Dash roaming like that. And Bay, to be fair, by the way, I think Bay just kind of got caught out in a bad position, completely independent of his agency or his role in the process. Because you have Dash roaming, and a logical thing to do when you're a defender is help bring them back, right? Is to make sure that the staircase is clear and that they're not going to get cut off bottom house. And what I think Bay did was very natural. I just think, again, like we saw in that CCTV round, Dash is the opening kill, swinging the breach. I don't know if he needed to do that. There, I like the idea, but by walking past that open barricade, if somebody retakes it, you're trapped between them and the defenders you were trying to flank. You better win that fight or find a way across, or else you are screwed. And then you screw Bay over as well, because immediately they sprint after him, get the 5v3 in. And with one more player on the round is pretty much just done after that. And in the blink of an eye, OXG have gone from seeming like they were completely gone of any hopes at making Munich and back into the action, just 1 round away from map 3.
I'm a little bit surprised to not see Wildcard use their timeout. Especially given the context of things right now. OXG, map point, chance to level up the series. Wildcard don't want to walk away with that tactical timeout unused. They must be feeling pretty confident about themselves here and going to be saving it for an overtime. They've still got to get there. Now, we talk sometimes about panic shields. Panic Monty is a classic one. Is this a panic clash from Kansan? We haven't seen Kansan play too much clash so far, if at all, any today. Something that Dash would usually be tasked with, but this time Kansan is going to be rocking that. OXG have gotten themselves into a decent position here. Should be able to start taking control of this catwalk area. Rotero drone can now move through and start to destroy some of those Kivas. Where's the player that is going to be there to walk up, though? Gomez. The one that I'm interested in. This all starts to come to a head, and Bay is getting a little bit hot in here.
Hold on. It's getting a little hot in here, and yet he's found the only safe harbor. Bay, both firebolts used, and neither propagated towards Bay. He's still alive, no Kivas remaining, but dodging all of this utility, withstanding. And most importantly, has the diffuser right there. Gomez fired or down in the process. And so while the nade gets that kill, look at the damage done by Bay.
Bay's done some really tough work there. Gomez, fortunately, will be picked up. So it will level things out somewhat. Baby Shark and Spiker both still have C4s, and the value of the clash is only going to increase as long as the man count stays equal or advantage to Wildcard right now. Gomez, on his second chance here after being picked up, is still going to be below, still with an option to use that skeleton key, but has he got sufficient info? Forrester's only watching a flank cam for him right now. Not as if they're going to have active information as to where these players are, and that clash needs to be found vertically. It is going to be the easiest way to deal with it. You really don't want to be fronting head-on into that thing.
And this is, again, the problem of all those firebolts going awry. At least you could say you got the Azami for it, but you need a nade as well. That's the only thing you've got to deal with that clash. Still alive, still a factor as Adam goes down. It won't be game over if Yaga and Grixer fail. But Munich, or at least the better chance at it, was right in front of them, and they'll have to wait a little longer. Wildcard with another bite at the apple as we've got our first OT of the night.
Let's get it. I thought we were never going to get it to an overtime with the games that we've seen so far this stage and in these playoffs. OXG and Wildcard have butted heads enough for us to make it to an overtime. Still, it's a very somber mood, it feels, on the side of OXG in those player cams. Maybe feeling like that was their opportunity to draw a line under the series and just send us into a best of one. After they'd already worked pretty hard to get where they got to here on Labs. They will be sticking on that attacking side. It hasn't necessarily been the best or the worst thing for them so far. It was a 4-2 split. It's not a massive indicator as to how the rest of the game is going to go. But it is a side that they have struggled on, make no mistake. And they're going to be going back up to this top floor. Kansan this time is trying to hide that clash. I mean, the clash was very effective, and OXG, they didn't really have a clear way of dealing with it previously. Maybe Kansan's mindset is, if I hide it this time, they might not expect it. They might think that I haven't brought it and maybe won't bring that thing that they're going to do to deal with it. I mean, you could look toward the Nomad and say that that's being brought for it, but no Capitao. And the Capitao was a good little edge that they had in the previous round. It's kind of a surprise to see that left on the bench, on the sideline.
It's a bit surprising. I mean, OXG have not really done much, like playing with, like, I mean, the execute utility that's open in front of them. I mean, it's kind of weird to say, but Ying has been up this entire game. Well, except for
just don't see Ying anymore.
Yeah, except for Wildcard's first half. I think just because of, like you said, how often she's banned, I think it's just not some OXG really care about bringing. They'll bring the Grim, like I said earlier. But Ying, completely available, not brought. Again, maybe it's just because you have Spiker, that Warden available. You're just like, he's going to be able to look through it anyway, and I understand that. Still get something kind of similar. in the same ballpark with Glaz. But as we get into the OT, as you mentioned, Kansan hiding that clash can now rotate around and get some information on these players. Bay back on rafters after putting on a clinic last round. And he'll move out a lot sooner. Pocket reinforcement, and this is Wildcard's big change. No holding on to rafters. Minute 10 seconds in, they have blocked it off entirely.
I love that as well, because look at what hard breach is left. We've got one tin opener. Now, IT wall, I believe, is open. Unsure on the status in connector. Okay, connector's still left with a half reinforcement and nothing in pocket. Great shot there from Yoga. Takes Kansan down. That's one of the oldest tricks in the book. Use the Nomad to displace the clash. And it's the start of many kills here for OXG.
That might be it as they all fall. B site cleared entirely. Adam pushing in too. Spiker went down below for the C4, banking, relying on the rest of his team to make it work. And now he's the only one remaining as Sight in complete control of Oxygen. Another match point, another shot at Bank.
There's got to be a moment in this series, and it will likely come if OXG win the map, where we start to see a little bit of belief on these players' faces. Atom showing a little bit there. That smile is what we needed to see, because they have looked pretty down and out, and it really feels like that Lost versus Shopify map 1 of this series, it has loomed over them almost up until the last couple of rounds. They're able to get a very early advantage there. I can't believe that Kansan's fallen for the air jab trick. I don't know if he was trying to burn it and get himself back safe. You know, sometimes you can trigger the air jab and get yourself out of the way if it's placed strangely on the doorway or something. I'm not sure about that, because you've got the audio cue, you know that it's going to be there, and it's ground that it's very debatable as to whether you need to be occupying it at that point. If you've got the shield, just stand in the doorway.
Definitely one of those moments that I think it not being there anymore, losing that clash so early on, just posed such a big problem. And you can see the impact that it had by Forrest being like, hiding that clash, pretty good idea. We should try that one out. Sitting behind the desk, letting the prep phase run out. Now maybe Wildcard will anticipate it, maybe they will not. Because we don't have a Zofia, don't have a Capitao. It's the only thing we've got to push that Clash's shield aside are 2 nades for Kansan, and Ollie, I see no DMRs on Wildcard's lineup. I don't see Rotero drones either. How the hell are you getting through the 6 pieces of barbed wire they have? The Kiba barricades that'll be generating over the course of the round. Because when you look at bulletproof or bullet-resistant utility versus explosives, boy, are we lacking.
Yeah. It's a topsy-turvy economy at the moment, I'm afraid. We're in an explosive shortage.
It's a recession indicator.
Yeah, big recession indicator. And, I mean, there's plenty of stuff available. I guess you want to bring the double heart breach. This is one of the problems when you do want to bring the heart breach, though, and you're not going to rely on the tin openers. If you rely on the tin openers, you get a little bit more bang for your buck. If you need to bring the heart breach, you are a little bit more limited. You throw into that the want and need to bring a shield, and well, all of a sudden it becomes quite a tricky prospect. Yeah, you've got a couple of nades, but a Rotero and Ash as a fear. DMRs, as you say, any of those things would be nice. But, of course, not always fully required. Stray mute jammer there is just going to slow Dash down, but only briefly. As Atom can make his way out of electrical and just make the way for Forrest to move through. I would guess that yellow ping is indicating that there is an air jab on the top of that ceiling, and for players not to move through it. You can also hear a nice little beeping noise, which is another indication that you should not go through the door. There it is.
I don't want to get too ahead of myself, Ollie, but this is just one of those positions where I was about to say I'm getting kind of nervous, but Spiker, while he finds one, this is what I was worried about. OXG are fine with you getting the breaches open, and yet the clash goes down again? What the hell? Dash just hops in through the breach. We're at round 15! What the hell has transpired all the way through? I don't even know how Wildcard got that one.
Wildcard pulling rounds out of nowhere here. They do not want to go to bank. They want to book their ticket for Munich right here, right now on Nighthaven Labs. Things were looking good for OXG. I'm going to be honest. Like, they'd given away a little bit of map control, sure, but that's just because of the bans. Because the hard breachers are available, you've got that ability to open up the walls quite quickly, push the defenders out of areas like Connector, like IT. And that's very natural. That's a natural development of how these rounds on Nighthaven Labs are played. What isn't so natural is for defenders then just to start dropping like flies, especially when you've got things like a Clash kicking around. Wildcard finding all the answers there and taking us to the mid floor for what will be the final round of this map. Wildcard ending things here on the defense. Both teams successful on their own attacks, but it has been the attacks that have struggled all night long. Pressure now seriously on OXG. This is a must-win round.
I mean, they've run out of lives. This is a must-win. Munich Major on the line for OXG. On the line for Wildcard as well. I mean, qualification. Even if they lose, they have one more shot. But for OXG, they've either got more Siege to play this stage or they're out until quals later this year, regional finals later this year. It's a difficult position to be in for a team that has really started putting the pieces together, for a team that we didn't have a lot of high expectations for. Get it figured out in playoffs, really start bringing things back for stage 2, an org that's been off the international scene since Blast came in. For 2.5 years now, this org has been struggling to achieve the heights that were left by players like Fox and Lax on the desk. This was their moment. This was their stage. And yet here, just one round away from falling out. One round could be the difference.
It always seems crazy when it comes down to what one round to decide something. But that's exactly where we are right now.
Changing Mac.
Usually they go a little bit slower. It takes a little bit longer to get into things. Teams are less willing to rush and sort of throw things away. They kind of want to take their time and be a little bit more deliberate in their choices. Opening pick, this time for Atom. He's been a big player when OXG have needed him, but no, the D shield there from Forest leaves us equal. Dash a little bit low, but that's his second on the round. An explosive mid-round leaves a lot for Grixer and Gomez to do. Kansan, a really important position right now at the bottom of Aqua Stairs.
A really important position, too, with Diffuser in the defense's control. I mean, Baby Shark and Dash, players so often maligned by us for Wildcard, especially in Stage 1. They're both at 15 kills. I was citing Dash as a reason that OXG got into the back half of those defenses. Him and Baby Shark have got 30 kills between them. Now Gomez and Grixer. No good ideas in front of them. They hop in, they take the fight on Aqua, they lose to the cross, a 3K for Dash. Grixer, often called one of the best players in North America, gets one! He's isolated the next, but only 3 bullets remaining. The secondary up next around the corner, can he land it? No, not a chance in hell! Wildcard finally make good, surprise us all, and make the Munich Major off a lower bracket win.
That's going to be one of the scrappiest gunfights to end a series that I've ever seen. Both players just throwing everything they had at the other. Running out of ammo on one side, throwing impacts to the other. Secondary shotguns drawn for. A real scrappy one to get it over the line, but I think it speaks beautifully to how this series has gone. Clubhouse, not the closest map in the world, but it was redeemed on Labs as OXG gave it their very best shot, but ultimately fell short here against Wildcard tonight. We'll have a winner's interview with Wildcard coming right up.
Jump,
One low speed.
No.
Nice.
Games last.
Games. Last one, games.
Dash, we need a 3, 2, 1 swing this guy. Ready?
Comes.
He's pushing up.
Come in.
Yeah!
Oh my gosh, Dash was so excited. A little unfortunate that he's sitting all by himself, whereas the rest are all together. But either way, with that, Wildcard punched their ticket straight to the Munich Major, the third team to be representing the NAL. Let's bring in Spiker, because we need to have a conversation about this. This was OXG. This was the team that hasn't lost anything besides that first match during the regular stage. You guys had a little bit of an oopsie yesterday, day before. What's are the emotions right now?
I mean, we're definitely really happy, obviously, to make an event, but me, Jake, and Evan have lost to OXG now, like, I think it was 2 or 3 times to make an event at this point, so to finally make one and beat them all doing it, it feels insane.
Yeah, you're also proving the doubters wrong. I mean, the people here on the desk were saying that you guys were probably not going to win this. We had JJ Blast earlier as well during the stage saying you guys were only at reload because you're invited and you wouldn't be able to make it to an international straight. So that must also feel really, really good.
Yeah, you know, JJ's my boy, so I won't say nothing, but he was definitely talking a little too early in the stage. Oh my god. People are running around. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. It just feels great. I don't know. I don't know what else to say. I also can't think right now. Shark is screaming.
Yeah, congratulations. I mean, I don't want to ask too in-depth questions since, you know, your brain's fried a little bit after the celebration. But I guess my question would be, when you're going up against a team like OXG, you know, you saw how well they played during the stage. What was your guys' game plan prepared for them? Was it focusing on the entries, trying to force to play, you know, shields or uncomfortable positions? What was the ideology behind today?
I mean, honestly, we were more focused on ourselves than them. Like, we were really aware of what they like to do. Like, they like to fight us a lot, especially on club. Like, we scrimmed them a couple weeks ago, and we noticed they were fighting us a lot on our entries. So our plan was to kind of, like, clear and then, like, use the util to clear the people and then get the free kills on the people trying to help them. So that's the idea on club, to do clears like that. But yeah, I mean, the main thing was playing our game more than focusing on them too much. You know, we knew they like to play shields against us, so we tried to run more shield counter ops, a lot of smoke, maybe some LS, stuff like that. So that was the main thing.
And so was that the biggest weakness from OXG that you tried to exploit, or was there something that you guys noticed today, like in the match, where there was just something that they kept lacking that you guys just focused on abusing?
We noticed on their attacks, we hadn't really noticed it before, but they were like really slow today for some reason. Oh my god, I'm lagging.
We hear you.
Like, they were really slow. So we just kind of kept on like trying to fall back on our roams more. And, you know, forcing them to execute because they were really, really slow. And I think on club, our defenses, a lot of it came down to like last and second executes that they lost to time. But the second method, they definitely sped up a little bit. I think we were micro-calming really well in our rooms today. Nobody was dying untraded, and that was the main thing.
Spiker, one, I want to congratulate you on making Munich. I lost faith that you guys weren't going to be able to make it based off your performance against SSG. I don't know why you always got to do this. You always got to have your backs against the wall to then be able to come out with this performance. But something that I talked about was your guys' opening engagements. That's one place where you guys thrived even in that match versus SSG, is getting those opening engagements. It was just a matter of not being able to convert them into rounds 1. And then today, you guys had 16 total engagements going in your favor. You guys managed to convert 13 of those out of the 16. I'm curious, what kind of was the drawback or what the realization, whether it was from your end or from the team, and how you guys corrected that and made those opening kills go into your guys' favor?
I think we've always been really strong in OPKs. Like you said, it's mostly just about converting it. And I think SSG, credit to them, they're a really good team at like getting picks back once they're man down. And we were like, our comms were really bad in the SSG game. I think like we were letting them like re-aggress on us and get the picks back. And like we weren't trading each other. But honestly, I think SSG is playing really well. I think Amady did a really good job of it too on defense, is like pushing when they're on defense to get picks back. It's mostly we just got to be more aware, have our gun up, and you know, coordinate crosses when we're men up more, I think.
Beautiful. Well, congratulations on making Munich. You guys deserve it.
Absolutely.
Thank you. I'll see you there.
Any team in particular that you're looking forward to play in Munich, or anything you want to qualify that you want to go up against?
Nah. Just gonna go, have fun, play our game, play to win. You know, we'll play whoever's there, whoever's in front of us.
Wildcard better be giving you guys a pay raise. The last time they attended an event without being invited was back in SI 2020, so I think you guys got some negotiation to do.
Look at that, Agent.
Yeah, you know, we gotta Yeah, we got to focus on performing at the major, and then we can talk about it. Then we got to make SI. We got some more work to do.
For sure.
Yeah, SI points now in the bag as well, which is great considering how last stage went. So congratulations for that as well. We're looking forward to seeing you guys, what you're going to do in Munich, but also you still have a game later today. So who knows, might be another interview. Take care. See ya.
Yeah. All right, thanks.
Yeah, SI points here I think is also quite an important discussion because looking right now at OXG, they're currently 20th because they only have in the world because they only have 50 SI points. That is a really scary place to be in because they're not getting any more.
Yeah. A lot of the teams that are below them right now are going or might have the opportunity still to make it to Munich, which they'll be able to accumulate more points, which will only knock OXG lower and lower down on the leaderboard, which is not a situation that you want to find yourself in. And it's really bittersweet for OXG with how well they played during the stage. I mean, we've seen them get better and better as the year had progressed, but it looked like when push came to shove, they lose to SR. They revert back to old ways of playing shields, playing very slow. I mean, we heard Spiker say it. He didn't understand why OXG was playing so slow. And it looked like it really came down to the same issues. Communication, everyone getting quiet, everyone getting down on themselves, nobody really able to bring up the momentum for the team. And even though they did their best on the final map, it just came down to, you know, Wildcard just being the better team.
And as for Wildcard, as I said, I didn't really have a lot of hope going into this matchup. I thought for sure Oxygen was going to be able to want to bounce back and showcase their resilience, but it was like the exact opposite. And credit to Wildcard, they did exactly what I said they needed to do. Not only did we need to see Dash step up and perform, especially on those shield ops, whether he was playing that Blitz, whether he was playing that Blackbeard, it clearly represented in terms of their scoreline. But then those opening engagements, like I said, that entire matchup, having 16 opening engagements go in your favor and then being able to convert 13 of them into rounds one, that's where they were struggling with SSG. And the fact that they were able to correct it today clearly contributes to as to why it was such a good performance and now punching their ticket to the major. So very much credit to those guys.
Yeah, but it's also just the fact that they were able to show up today. And like some of these rounds were absolutely insane. And I think the final round that we were looking at, everybody was just screaming at the top of their lungs and really highlighting how they were able to perform under pressure rather than crumble.
Well, yeah, let's talk about some rounds before we got there, because this has been closed out a lot sooner. I mean, round 10 here, Kansan does not need to go for this flank. As you saw, Adam then be able to go for that flank into top blue, into water, and get these picks. But let's talk about Bay here being able to play this position. This is a couple times now we've seen Bay be able to play these rafters and stall out time, get the picks, be able to delay the teams, especially in a 6-5 scenario. Bay should not have survived. The fact that he was able to play his life with Grimbees, with the Capital bolts around, being Flash, being able to down Gomez, and not getting overzealous and selling his life away, which then pushes it all the way into that overtime. Then they get that crazy round to be able to close it out. And then, again, that last round went down to the wire. I mean, I don't play anymore, but I still, like, my heart palpitations were going crazy when it got down to that 1v1, and then Kansan on those impact grenades onto Grixer. I mean, wow.
Grixer in the 3v1, I thought he was going to bring it back. Because you've seen moments like that, and then he has the player stuck. He takes the shotgun out, and really good heads-up play for Kansan to just throw those impacts at the end. But yeah, I mean, I think all those clips, generally, the first one, Wildcard could have easily won it cleaner, sooner. So, you know, still some hiccups there, but at the end of the day, they get to go to Munich. OXG doesn't, unfortunately for them, so it is what it is. So far, your predictions are correct in terms of the top teams, even though they're being placed in that S-tier category, not necessarily making it to the internationals. M80 still has to show us whether or not that prediction is going to go wrong, because they're going to be playing Dark Zero next. But again, crazy world we live in, where we're going to be going to an international with either M80 or Dark Zero not present. Which one of them is going to end their season soon? Who's going to be going to Munich? Let's find that out after the break.